Hello, I'm Cthulhu. We'll be getting them started here in just a second. I'll let you do some introductions, Meatbag, while I count them on.
Cool. So on our left in pink, we have AbsolutelyAsh, and SomeDude is on the right in the blue color. We will be racing Hollow Knight Lockout Randomizer. So if you're unfamiliar with that, first off, if you're unfamiliar with the game Hollow Knight, it's excellent. You should definitely play it. Spoiler warning, because this is not going to follow the game at all. We have added a randomizer mod on top of this that moves around all of the items in the game to random locations. It does some checking to make sure that we can access all the locations, but who knows where things are going to end up. And then we're doing a tournament with a lockout bingo format. So that's what that card is in the bottom. There's a whole bunch of different goals on the board that they are going to have to complete. And
Yep, and it looks like they are just getting started now. So in this lockout bingo format, it is first to 13 goals to win. It does not matter whether those goals lie in a line like normal bingo rules. It's just whoever can get 13 goals first. It's also lockout, so that means that whoever marks a goal first locks the other player out, and that other player cannot ever mark that goal. So there's a big incentive to complete goals quickly here as soon as you're able to do them.
I think this is not the card that the runners are going to be on, so I'm going to get help to get the right card displayed on the stream. You're in for a treat. We have a much more exciting card than this one.
Yeah, you're right. I guess this card is not quite right. But hopefully we'll have that resolved shortly. Both the runners are connected to a card that we're looking at as well.
I have bad news. We are not getting Zotes, but I have much better news. We're getting the Path of Pain if it comes to that one. The real card doesn't have too many early goals. The one noteworthy is have 3 different maps, so we could see one of the runners rushing that. But after that, there's a whole bunch of different randomized goals and a whole bunch of goals that will open up as the game progresses. So it'll just be kind of, touch and go as we find items throughout.
Yeah, and what you saw here, both players deciding to open up the gate at the end of King's Pass and walk out in order to get a hard save before they went back to check Fury. Unfortunately, it looks like AbsolutelyAsh did not actually walk far enough to get the hard save and has to redo King's Pass. So that will put Ash behind a little bit right at the beginning here as we see SomeDude progressing into the crossroads.
SomeDude skipping grubs. I think that's a pretty good strategy. There's very often not progress, and worst case scenario, if there is, you can circle back to it and get everything pretty quickly.
Yep. And we'll see if Ash follows the same sort of strategy. Here we see this Aspid Arena from SomeDude. He gets the double spike kill. It's always nice to see. We'll probably see both runners rush to look for some progression first. As Meatbag mentioned on the card that they're actually racing on, there aren't too many early goals, and there are quite a few late game goals to worry about. So getting to progression early will be interesting. Oh, Dash. Where was Dash? I completely missed
I think it was at Iselda.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
That's very helpful. Early Dash will allow them, as you can see from SomeDude, he's already entering the Fungal Waste. This is basically entirely skipping the crossroads because he can just leave immediately with Dash. So we may see some divergence from the 2 runners. We'll see if Ash follows a similar play.
Yeah, she could follow, or she could kind of go through the normal expected path of killing False Knight, going to Ancestral Mound, and probably checking the shops in the crossroads as well.
Yep. And that was some strange camera from SomeDude, or maybe it was just taking a while to load in. I'm not sure what happened there. but he's going to continue down into fungal.
We're also working on cropping SomeDude's camera as well.
Yep, so we'll see these Shroomo Ogres from SomeDude. It looks like Ash is opting to continue on a little bit into Crossroads, so hopefully we'll see some of those checks. It's nice to see a divergence in this lockout format between the two runners early. It allows for both of them to get access to certain goals.
And to different areas of the game. They might find different random objectives, which leads them down different rabbit holes to completing those objectives.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll see the first unbreakable greed here at the stag station. This brings up one point that may be confusing to people who are new to Hollow Knight Randomizer. All of the item pickups are essentially randomized, but there are several other randomized items, including stags. So the stag stations, instead of opening up the stag nest like you might normally be able to do in a game, they have random items there, and you can also find stags at random item locations. So this really changes how you route through the game, and it's one of the reasons that the bench warp mod is used instead of the traditional stag system.
So it looks like Grimchild was also on a Zelda, as well as the first dive spell. Neither of those were goals on the real card, but it looks like money will be... Oh, this is a minion charm, so we do have kill 3 Umas with a minion charm on the real card. So this is a good play from SomeDude rushing this goal.
Yeah, and he's lucky to have Grimchild there. Sometimes Grimchild can not spawn and sort of cause troubles. Hopefully he'll be able to bring him up here to kill the Umas.
So the real card is now displayed on the stream. As you can see, we've got the obtained 3 maps. We've got the kill 3 minion Umas with a minion charm. Which SomeDude is having a good time with, so he's going to be the first to mark a goal. And then it's kind of going to be pretty mid to late and random after these 2 goals, depending on what becomes available to the runners.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of fairly late game goals here. Check Void Heart requires Abyss Access and Shade Cloak. There's Complete Path of Pain, of course, which requires essentially every movement item in the game to do, not to mention being extremely difficult. Dreamnail White Lady, also a very late game goal, requires them to have access to the Traitor Lord boss fight. Coliseum 1, again, very late. So we may be here for quite a while on this race in particular.
And the goal that I think both the runners are hoping we don't have to get to would be the Path of Pain goal. AbsolutelyAsh, in clearing the Ancestral Mound, finds another important item for a goal, the Queen Station Stag, and immediately teleports out of there to go get and mark this goal. She can see on the card that SomeDude has gone in a completely different direction from her, but you never want to leave these goals on the table in a race.
Yep, absolutely. So we saw each runner kind of diverge paths there. Ironically, both ending up in kind of the same area in a very different ways, but both getting one early goal that was only accessible to them.
The other thing that's worth noting is that that Ash picked up Grubberfly's Elegy, which is a Balder killer. So one of the many ways of getting out of of the Crossroads is to kill that Balder like you would normally in a playthrough with Vengeful Spirits. But there's lots of other ways to kill that Balder, and Grubberfly's Elegy is one of them. And so similarly to killing the Exit Balder, you can also use those items to kill the Balder in Ancestral Mound for one more item check, though Ash did go by that, and also the ones for Balder Shell. So both the runners right now have pretty easy access to 3 conifer locations, which could get them those 3 maps. We'll see if they're going to prioritize that or go in some other direction. SomeDude's at a little bit of a disadvantage here because he has no geo, so he's killing Massive Moss Charger. I imagine that the 200 geo that Ash has would be enough to get all 3 conifers if she teleported back around to them, but I'm not exactly sure how much that adds up to.
Yeah, and it's a pretty tough decision at this point because, as we saw, there is Desolate Dive available at one of the shops for, I believe it was over 400 geo. So they have to prioritize, do they want to go for a goal in the form of these maps that will not help them with progress, or do they want to spend their geo on getting an item like Dive that can actually get them to new locations and additional checks?
It looks like Ash is
priorities are. Oh, go on.
It looks like Ash is going for a Massive Moss Charger for Geo as well, potentially, which is basically going to lock her out of this goal. I think she was hoping that SomeDude might do something different, or didn't have the Geo, or was in a different area, but whenever you're in a lockout situation and you're following behind what somebody else is doing, you're inevitably going to get locked out of those goals. So when you're playing one of these races, it's really, really important to, if you find you're behind or doing something the other person is doing, unless you have reason to believe that there's some item progression there, to do something different. And so I do like this play from Ash to not go for the maps, because I think she does believe, rightfully, that SomeDude is ahead of her in that respect. And she's going to do some checks that maybe SomeDude hasn't done yet.
Yep, and as we can see, SomeDude is in fact rushing these maps. He's now heading toward the Fungal Wastes Conifer location, and I don't recall if he already got the Dirtmouth location, but we will find out soon enough, I'm sure.
I think the runners were very, very low on Geo at that point, having both bought Dash, so I doubt that they picked it up. But they both have gotten a bunch of Geo since then.
Right, that is true.
One other thing worth
warp away now.
One other thing worth noting is we have not seen what's on Grubs. So this is something that tends to get checked a little bit late. Oh, Ash is going for the dive, so this could send her in a completely different direction to SomeDude.
Yep. Yeah, so it's nice to see differing strategies in that respect, where one does prioritize the goal and the other does prioritize progression. So we're going to see which strategy will pay off in the end here.
Let me set the scores. There we go. I'll try and remember to keep those updated for everybody.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, and as you can see, in case you were wondering, SomeDude is the blue or navy color there, and Ash is the pink.
So right now, SomeDude is moving towards a dark room. I don't believe they have Lantern, and AbsolutelyAsh is going for this dive. This gives her access to 2 items. She misses the dive egg with Dash. I think she could come back for that by looping around, but she'll have one more check in the beginning area of Crystal Peaks with that dive.
Yep, and this dark room that SomeDude is doing, it's one of the easier dark rooms in the game, but it is still a dark room. So without Lantern, this is out of logic. What we mean by that is that this will not have, there is no item that will be required for further progression into the game at the check that SomeDude is doing without Lantern. And we'll see what it is. Oh, it's World Sense, which is actually a goal on the board, so that really pays off for SomeDude. There was no way that Ash was going to check that anytime soon, given that it was in a dark room.
So at this point, it looks like both runners are kind of moving around, looking for that next piece of progression. Obviously, every time you're doing checks and find one of those randomized goals, that's a big plus. But until the runners find something that kind of tells them exactly where they should go or gives them accessibility to new checks, they're kind of just going to be, you know, making sure they don't leave anything behind and trying to find a new way to move on to new areas of the game.
Yep. And we'll see Ash come back and loop around to get that dive egg check that was missed earlier. Meanwhile, SomeDude is doing these checks that were done earlier by Ash. I don't believe that they were anything particularly vital. Oh, and it's Mantis Claw. Wow. So that's a huge, huge step toward progression for Ash. So really good that that Ash came back for that one. Would be a heartbreaker to have missed it.
So, and it might be a very long time before SomeDude circles around for that, farms the geo that he's going to need to get that dive and get access to that. Ash is immediately going and checking a bunch of really, really quick checks right outside of Queen Station, and we'll see where she goes from there and what goals that she can get. She does have D-Dive, so she could theoretically go get the Crystal Crawler journal entry up in Peaks, because between a spell and getting the Monster Herd journal, she could do that one.
Yeah,
we're still looking. What else is in play?
So check the journal below Stone Sanctuary is a very quick goal.
Yeah, she should be going for that one for sure. That's the goal that should be headed towards.
Now again, the advantage here is that SomeDude has not even got dive yet. So because he spent his geo on buying the maps, which got him an early goal, he will not be able to have access to Mantis Claw until he farms some more geo, gets dive, and then finally goes and checks it.
This isn't an unreasonable play on Ash's part either, getting the grubs in Fungal before heading up towards Green Path. The get all of the grubs in Green Path and Fungal is available to her as well. So she is working towards a goal. She's just not working towards the one that is the fastest to her. And so there's kind of a trade-off between efficiency. I think it's reasonable for her to assume that SomeDude doesn't have the money or doesn't have dive yet, and this probably won't hurt her too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think going that again is another goal that does actually require either Mantis Claw or some other kind of vertical to complete. So I think that going for that is smart at this stage. We'll see. Deciding to go back to Peaks, it looks like maybe going for the Crystal Crawler journal entry. One advantage of taking this kind of strategy of preparing a bunch of these goals is that it could disguise the fact that Claw's already been found from SomeDude. If he starts seeing some goals be marked that require Claw, he'll immediately know that he missed some progression somewhere and might go back and get that dive quicker.
So the Crystal Crawlers are the little spiky crystals that are roving around in Crystal Peaks that normally you'd think you can't kill because they're immune to nail hits, but if you hit them with any type of spell, they crumble to dust pretty easily.
Yep, as you just saw with that Desolate Dive to kill one there. Yeah, so these goals kind of synergize well. The Green Path Grubs, the Journal Below Stone Sanctuary, which it looks like Ash is going for now, and the Hunter's Journal can now all be completed with just objectives in Green Path. So we might see essentially a full clear of Green Path, at least what can be done currently from Ash.
SomeDude looks like he's now moving back towards the stuff that he skipped in Crossroads. Interestingly enough, neither player has checked Sly or Salubra, so both those shops could still have goals or valuable progression items on them. Though given how many progression items were at Iselda, that seems unlikely. It's not often the randomizer gives you lots of progression items on shops.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in Ash's position with Mantis Claw, I think there's not too much reason to go back and check those immediately. Knocking out these Green Path goals, I think, is the right play here.
Absolutely.
So interesting from Ash. Ash did just check the Journal Below Stone Sanctuary, but hasn't marked that goal yet. I wonder if that's getting to what I was mentioning earlier, which is kind of hiding that information, or whether the goal was just... Oh, and there it gets marked. Okay, so so maybe it was just missed on the board there. Although then I wonder why the check was done so quickly. But this is actually 2 goals now, because the Crystal Crawler journal entry... Yep. just confirming that they have it there.
I'm wondering if the board is lagging a little bit, and she did check it on time. I'm sure it'll catch up in a minute. So
Yeah,
SomeDude is going to shops right now, and it's possible that this gets him towards that D dive because he's picking up some geo here, and the shopkeepers definitely like to sell you money. Not very good business keeping practices, but that's just part of the rando.
Yep, and we'll see if that does pay off for SomeDude. Again, he's going to be at a disadvantage if he can't find Mantis Claw quickly. Oh, and look at that. There's plenty of geo available at Salubra, so he should hopefully have enough for dive. Oh, definitely. The Watch and Ice chest is actually for sale at Salubra. 1 geo for 655 geo. Probably not going to be making too much profits off that.
So the question I have here basically is, are there any goals at the shops, or what else we might see? I think SomeDude cleared most of this and didn't find anything that Ash is at now. Ash needs to, she just checked the Crystal Collar journal entry, but she should be making her way up Green Path towards the last grub here for that goal, which will give her the lead. It's awesome to see a back and forth race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, SomeDude actually finding the lantern at Sly, so that's actually pretty big. It might encourage him to go to the right side through Crystal Peaks. There's a dark room there that can get you to Resting Ground, so we may see that from him. If he goes that way, we would expect him to find Claw, but it looks like first he's going to check what Grimchild was.
Well, no, this might throw him off the scent of Claw, because if he decides to go through the dark room, he can walk all the way there and might ignore that one check that he has access to now with Descending Dark.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. If he goes through the toll entrance, he might actually miss the dive entrance egg. That would be really unfortunate for him. Yeah, so there are a handful of obtain goals on the board. When you see that sort of thing, it can be helpful to check shops quickly for whether any of those goals are available there. Unfortunately, it looks like SomeDude was striking out. And it looks like
now they're high-fiving both of them. Oh yeah, he's going to try and finish off those grubs, and he's going to get totally sniped on this because Ash is way ahead.
He actually does not have access to the Swarshroom grub yet either. He needs vertical for that.
That's true.
And it actually looks like he just left, so he may be heading somewhere else, maybe to check Balder's Shell. He's picked up Dive, so now he's able to kill that Balder using Desolate Dive.
True. Alright, Ash is going to come up here and get this last grub and likely mark that goal shortly thereafter, giving her a 4-3 lead.
Yeah, and having caught up on goals and being ahead in movement, this will be a pretty cozy lead for Ash. We'll see if SomeDude will quickly find something to even the score.
The one advantage that SomeDude does have right now is the ability to go all the way to the right side. He does have, sort of an advantage in that lantern. It might not be enough, given that Ash probably is well aware that she hasn't checked those shops and there could be items there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can imagine Ash could go back for those soon. Meanwhile, SomeDude looking like he's heading down into Fungal Wastes again. Not sure if he's just going to clear out more of this area. Looks like he might be. I guess he
did rush through it because he was going for that minion goal, because he saw Grimchild at Aselda at the beginning of the race.
Understandable. Oh, and he finds Lurian. Not particularly helpful in this format, where the Dreamers aren't required. I don't believe there's any Dreamer required goals on this board either.
I think that's right.
Yeah, unfortunately that actually makes his Crossroads infected. Early on that can be kind of a tedious problem to have to deal with. And we'll see Ash get that pickup here as well.
So SomeDude looks like he has realized that he has missed Claw somewhere and is thinking very carefully about what he has access to that could give him Claw. That's what he really needs to be doing right now. Find the Claw. That's going to be key to him coming back in the race, is figuring out where that was.
Yeah, and if you're SomeDude, you can look at the board and see that the journal below Stone Sanctuary was marked. He's already cleared most of Green Path, so he should know that it wasn't there. But also the Crystal Crawler journal entry was marked, which is clearly a Sea Peaks goal. So you might expect him to go check that soon if he's trying to think about where Ash may have been.
Who was it that found Lurian just now? That was both of them, I think.
Yeah, it was the Spore Journal, and they both just checked it.
Yeah, that makes the flower quest a little bit harder, though I'm sure by the time they're doing it, they'll be a bit more prepared. It is technically on the table for SomeDude to do. The runners have agreed that they can bench warp to do the actual flower quest, but to give the flower to Elderbug, they have to hike there the normal way.
Yep, so we will see a legitimate flower to Elderbug if they do decide to go for that goal. And now that the crossroads are infected, it will be significantly harder. It's not too bad when the crossroads aren't infected. It's pretty easy to avoid all the enemies, but with infected crossroads, those venge flies can give you a bad time. So we'll see Ash check Leg Eater here. I believe that SomeDude has already done these checks.
Yeah. If I recall, Leg Eater had a whole lot of nothing.
Looks to be the case. So we might see Ash head up to do the rest of Chops, or down to check the right side of Fungal.
It seems to me like following that lantern line of progression is probably where they're going to take. But that's not to say there aren't other directions that they could go from here. So Claw puts, Isma's was found on Hornet. So that puts a few more checks in logic. But as I was about to say, they can also go all the way up to Howling Cliffs from the starting area of the game and get a few checks in that corner of the map as well, because they found Claw.
Yeah, with Claw and Isma's and Dash, there's quite a lot that can be opened up, including most of Queen's Gardens. We'll see if they decide to go that way early, but at the moment it looks like Ash is making their way through Fungal. I believe that actually there's one Fungal grub that's down here that still hasn't been gotten, so that may be the reason.
Oh, that makes sense. So one problem, another good find for SomeDude here, but he's still looking for that Claw, and finding Isma's is actually potentially leading him to places that are not going to have the Claw that he really needs to be thinking about where it could possibly be. That gave him access to a couple more checks, like the one that we just saw, and now he might be headed in the right direction here. Let's hope he heads all the way up to the dive check at Peaks and doesn't go through the dark room.
Yeah, hopefully SomeDude is able to find that Claw. I think that he's aware that it was found early enough that it's likely to not be too deep in progression. So that Isma's, I don't think, is throwing him off the trail, but we'll see what he decides to do.
Right.
Meanwhile,
he
Ash
is going up.
That last grub, so that makes it 4-3 in favor of Ash. And yes, that is good. We see that SomeDude is making his way all the way up. Oh, don't die here. Okay, he's going to warp out and retry it. This room can be a huge pain, basically no matter what you're coming through it with.
Especially once it's infected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those venge flies just, they're problems, to say the least. And SomeDude really struggling with this room. We'll see if he decides to take a different path.
You could come down from Dirtmouth. It's a little slower, but I believe you can get through that way.
Oh no, and meanwhile it looks like Ash took a death down there in Mantis Village. That's unfortunate. And dive isn't the greatest spell to try to fight these guys off with either.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll make his way up now. Just have to take it a bit slow. Yeah, meanwhile, Ash going to head back down, get their shade. Oh no. Okay. Oh.
Heal some dude,
Right.
heal.
SomeDude is fine. He's got 2 HP. That's all he needs.
Only like 5 more infected bench lives to go through.
This room that he's clearing now is the worst of the rooms on the way up. But you can see already how bad that Lurian pickup actually is in this kind of format.
So while we're here, I think we should take a moment to plug the Hollow Knight Discord and the racing community and the randomizer community. We're a really friendly group of people. A lot of the people who are in this tournament kind of basically joined because of the tournament or just started doing rando recently, and we've seen a whole ton of them make a whole bunch of progress in skill level and game knowledge recently, and these two are definitely among that group. And so we'd love to have more people join, come check us out while SomeDude finally picks up his claw and Ash is working her way towards through Mantis Village.
Yep.
So let's see where
to be able to catch up a bit. Oh, and it looks like SomeDude is going somewhere that Ash has not gone, which is the Howling Cliffs right away. And I like this play from SomeDude. He knows that Ash has been down in Fungal and in Green Path. So to pick a place that he's not really sure about, I think is strong. Again, SomeDude does have that advantage of having Lantern. That'll allow him to do the Joni's room here. We might see him actually go to the right side to the resting grounds and down below a little bit later.
So yeah, Ash right now is the one playing catch up on item progression. She's missing Isma's and the Lantern that SomeDude found quite a while ago. Ash needs to go back and get to shops and also defeat Hornet.
Yep, absolutely. Ash behind. Those items aren't as essential, and the Howling Wraiths is nice. That's some pretty good damage.
Oh, this was also a really good play from SomeDude because Gorb is one of the bosses on the board. So coming straight here, realizing he had Dreamnail as well. So that's another thing that Ash is behind on because Isma's led him to that one quick check.
Yep,
so
that's absolutely
definitely a good move from SomeDude, chasing the goal that the casters didn't see on the board.
Yep. It's a good thing that he is not as blind as us. Meanwhile, Ash is saving Bretta, immediately warping to Dirtmouth to check Bretta, probably the best possible play in that scenario. So
we'll see where she heads afterwards. No, I think that's reasonable. I don't think we've seen what's in the tent either, so that could be something that we haven't seen in a while either. Green Path Stag, not super helpful in this situation, seeing as she already has the bench there and could warp to it whenever she wanted to.
Yep. It's worth mentioning that obtaining Carefree Melody is a goal on this board, so Grim is required for that, but it also requires access to the Distant Village to obtain Brum's Flame and Howling Cliffs to banish the Grim Troop, so we probably will not see this goal for quite a while, even though both players have access to it technically.
So now Ash is heading over towards the shops, which is a good decision on her part. That will get her the Lantern. This might lead her to assume that she should cross over to the right side of the map. But we know that the Dreamnail is hiding behind an Isma's check right now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Ash decides to do. Now that SomeDude has marked Gorb, it's clear that he also has Claw, or at least some form of Vertical, and has made his way into Howling Cliffs. So that may be a deterrent and further push Ash toward checking the right side of the map.
So SomeDude at this point is basically cleared out cliffs here. I'm pretty sure he already did Baldur's.
Yeah, he already.
So he's just going to leave at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a wise decision there. I believe he's already cleared out the north part of Green Path as well. Oh, maybe not, because here he's coming. Ah, he's probably coming to check
Shape of Moon. Yeah.
And this is a check that's pretty easily forgotten. I'm not sure what he was doing there, but he has full access to it with Isma's Tear and Mantis Claw. Oh, and his shade.
Oh, he left his shade here.
Okay, then I think it's a really good play to come back for that. You get your shade and a check.
Oh, chat mentions that SomeDude left Jonies behind. Hopefully that isn't a big mistake. Though I doubt that Ash is going to head in that direction anytime soon, seeing as there aren't any goals in that area.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, he did leave Jonies behind. I'm not sure if he forgot that he had Lantern for that or just didn't want to do it. It's a pretty long check, not easy. So it's understandable if he thought that he had better take more advantage.
This is an interesting decision from Ash because she already has the bench in Cliffs, and I believe she did not go to Sly to get that lantern. It looks like So she is pogoing across to try and get to the right side of the city and has left the lantern in a shop.
Yep, and this is effectively the same result. She already had the dark room bench, and getting the lantern there would just allow traversal through a single dark room. With dive, you can get down into the right side of the city anyway, but this allows you to get there just as quickly. Arguably more quickly, actually.
Yeah. It looks like SomeDude is going to follow her eventually.
So SomeDude should already have the Salubra bench, so deciding to go through this room one more time, I do feel bad. I've had enough pains in this room to sympathize with the struggles here. I mean, like it's going better this time, though.
Now I'm kind of wondering which direction he's going. I guess, did he not? He must not have gotten the bench in Peaks and is retreading that path really quick. Oh no, now he's going through the dark room. He'll get the bench, the egg, and follow Ash into Resting Grounds. And they'll both be able to check all the items there, but this is one of those scenarios where because they're both going in the same direction, the person who is first is going to have potentially a really big advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So SomeDude is going to be just a little bit behind Ash on this one. So if there's anything good to find here, it's going to be Ash's to have.
Ash is checking Essence, even though she doesn't have Dreamnail. A couple really valuable spells, though neither of them are on the board.
And a Dreamnail behind Essence, which is not the greatest thing. SomeDude would have an advantage if there was any goals at Essence because he already does have a Dreamnail, but it looks like there was nothing particularly vital. Howling Wraiths Ash already has. So we'll see if this Resting Grounds play pays off. It looks like Crypts is next on the list. There's quite a few checks there. Oh, Dream Shield hasn't been checked yet. But there's something like 5 different items to find here.
Find the God Tuner, but I believe we already marked the one random information item that was on the board.
Yep, World Sense, unfortunately, not God Tuner on this one, so that's not a particularly helpful pickup.
SomeDude's coming here to get 100 more Essence. This will give him... It will not give him access to the Shrine of Believers check.
Yeah, he gets very close, but I believe that even with Mantis Claw, and maybe Chad can correct us on this one, but I believe even with Mantis Claw and Dash, you need either C-Dash or Wings to get into the Shrine of Believers. That's inside of the Spirit's Glade, and I don't think you can get up there with just what he has. Conroe says that you can reach it, so apparently you can reach it. Okay, there's a weird wall jump, apparently. We'll see if SomeDude knows that. He may, and this may be the play. with 200 essence, you get access into that room. So if Claw and Dash is enough to get in, he already has Dream Nail. He'll be able to access the Spirit's Glade.
My question is, can they even get up to the waterfall though? Maybe you can with just Claw and Dash.
I know that they can get into the room. They can get the check in Spirit's Glade. The thing I wasn't sure about was whether they can get up into the Shrine of Believers.
So at the very least, this is an item check that SomeDude has access to that Ash does not. Ash is checking the flower quest for us. It's C-dash.
Okay, so again, the runners have agreed that they are able to bench warp to do the actual flower quest. So currently, Ash does not have the bench in Queen's Gardens, but it would be significantly easier with that.
But Ash is taking the flower, likely to get the gold to give it to Elderbug.
That's an interesting play now. With the damage that Ash has and an infected crossroads, this won't be easy, but we'll see if Ash can do it.
It's not unreasonable though. You know, be patient.
Doing this check on the way with the delicate flower is gutsy for sure.
Yeah, this has me like a little scared for her, but this is the safe way to do it. You don't have to really fight those enemies, and can just let them kill themselves when they dive.
Yep. Meanwhile, we'll see SomeDude finally catching up to Ash on some of these checks. It'll be interesting to see if SomeDude also decides to start this flower quest if Ash hasn't finished it by the time that he gets there. If so, he could get pulled into quite a long distraction.
So SomeDude's gonna get all these checks. I don't think he has enough essence to like really pick anything of value up.
Yeah, there were a couple just above 200, but I'm not sure that they were the useful ones. I believe Wraiths was in that range, but I don't think with 200 he has enough. And he actually forgoes the rest of the essence checks and is going straight to Spirit's Glade. So we'll see if he knows the way to get into the Shrine of Believers here.
I don't like skipping the essence, because there could be progress there that he already has access to. He could find out that he should go kill No Eyes for an easy way to get, you know, another valuable piece of progression. He really should have looked at all the items on essence.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Oh, and he finds Shade Cloak here at this check. That's pretty big. Does he know how to get up there? Looks like he's going to try.
Probably get this a few tries and... Oh!
Okay, so that looks like about where he needs to be. I believe. He knows it's possible, it looks like.
Meanwhile, we get to watch Ash navigate the last two really hard rooms on the way back towards giving Elderbug the flower.
Big time Monk-ass moments along the way here, so hopefully Ash can close this one out. Ooh.
SomeDude back in Crystal Peaks, he can basically full clear it at this point. He has dive, he has claw. There's not double jump, but now I'm wondering where he's trying to go. I don't think Overgrown Mound is on the board, or Crystallized Mound. And Check D-Dark also isn't on the board. Where is he trying to go?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Did he not get the bench and resting grounds? And he warped? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I think he thought he was warping out to the resting grounds and accidentally warped out to the dark room. Hadn't benched here.
We also saw Ash take a hit, so she has to go back to...
Oh, no. Yeah, that's rough. Especially because in bench warping back here, all those enemies do respawn. So now it's basically the same gauntlet all over again. Those rooms in the infected crossroads with the damage that they have is pretty tough. Hopefully Ash can get it this time.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what SomeDude decides to do here. He might follow Ash on the Flower Quest play, or he could go in a completely different direction and check new items for us. He's still going to be a little bit behind Ash's run here, because he's likely going to full clear all of this area. There wasn't really anything of value here.
Yeah, and if you're SomeDude, without Howling Wraiths and with the troubles he was having in that with those infected vengeflies earlier, I'd hope to see him actually go and continue on for checks until he has some better damage to try this. But we'll see if he's focused enough on the goal. He is going to check what's at flowers, so he may be going for it.
Amusingly enough, SomeDude I do think is equipped to take the long way around and get the bench in the stag and get C-dash that way, but I don't know if that would be a time-efficient thing for him to do.
That is true. SomeDude staring at that C-dash request and really wondering what to do. I didn't catch it. Did he pick up the flower in the end?
I don't think so.
Maybe
Yeah,
so.
I think he's going to full clear here and make a decision again. I'm sure he grabbed the bench. It's easy enough to get back to.
Okay, he did not, apparently. I respect that. We'll see if he does come back for it. I definitely think these checks are worth doing first.
The good thing for him about not picking it up is that if Ash does get all the way there, he spends less time working on it.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, no.
Oh, Ash takes a hit again.
Oh, that's rough. We'll see if Ash goes for it one more time.
This is definitely one of the hardest things to do, especially once Crossroad gets infected. And that's one of the reasons why the runners have agreed to bench warp the normal flower quest, because it's time consuming and annoying.
And apparently can give you Crystal Dash, so well.
Yeah. SomeDude did pick up the flower himself, so he's on the same plan. So
yeah,
we might be here a little bit.
Side-by-side flower request for a bit. SomeDude does have the advantage of already having Shade Cloak, which allows you to get through a couple enemies much easier, obviously. But it looks like he's just continuing down into City.
I think this is a good play from SomeDude. Crossroads is infected. There's more advantage to be gained by doing more checks. And this goal can be obtained or replaced later.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see if Ash continues to try to. Hopefully this attempt is the last one. But if there's any random goals down here, it'll be really unfortunate to see because Ash did have the advantage going in.
Spore Shroom not on the board. Yeah, we're looking for Defender's Crest on this board in terms of random checks. Sprint Master, Dash Master, always nice. A couple, I think we're still looking for one stag. The Queen's Garden stag is actually like 3 super valuable things right now in terms of C-Dash, the stag, and the stag goal, and Marmu. So that would be super valuable for either of the runners to find.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see SomeDude try this this checkup here. You can pogo up with just Mantis Claw.
Wondering what Ash is doing. She just lost the flower again.
Maybe going to clear out the route and then take the long way back just so that there's no enemies in the way.
Yeah. This is the time-consuming way to do it. You just have to remember not to sit on a bench or all the enemies will respawn.
Yep.
Flower quest in general, much easier when you have Dream Nail, because if you do get hit, you can Dream Nail back instead of bench warping back, and all of the enemies do not respawn.
Yeah, that's the problem with the bench warp back, is that it does basically give you the same problem you just had. Yeah, it looks like that is the play here, clearing out the path.
So we do have a simple key, so a lot of waterways is now accessible. I don't think there's any more interesting money goals on this seed. Maybe obtain 2 Pale Ore, but I don't recall seeing any, or 2 of them on the shop. So
I believe that Ash has already picked up 1 Pale Ore at a shop somewhere.
okay.
I think there's just maybe one more to find. Yeah, so yeah, with Dive, Mantis Claw, and Isma's tier, actually, the Waterways is pretty available. They don't have a way into the right side of the Waterways just yet. Through the Spike Tunnel, they would need Crystal Dash or some ability to Spike Tunnel skip, but at least the left side of Waterways is quite accessible. The bench is available to them, so we may see that from SomeDude.
Meanwhile, SomeDude is opening up most of the rest of Left City. Going up to Storms is generally a pretty good play. A bunch of pretty easy item checks to get there, and potential access to Soul Sanctum as well. Though, looking at the board, I don't think that's super relevant unless we actually find an item there. That's his second simple key, though. That gives him 2 very easy item checks in the City of Tears and the Pleasure House. Meanwhile, Ash is making her way back to try and get that Flower Quest goal.
Yeah, but now the setup has been done, so this Flower Quest should go much smoother than the previous attempts.
That said, Ash is still way behind because of all of the checks that SomeDude has found that she is left basically in Green Path and Fog Canyon. Isma's tier was at Hornet, and that led SomeDude to immediately find the Dream Nail, another item that Ash doesn't have.
Yep, and that will really hurt later with Galeon, Dream Nail, White Lady, Marmu on the board, at the very least. Also access to the Shrine of Believers, which SomeDude was not able to get into, but has all the prerequisites to do. So it'll be unfortunate if Ash never finds that Dream Nail.
That said, there are 3 other Dream Nails in the map somewhere, so it's not unreasonable or unlikely for her to find another one, though we do know that one of them is shot. And if you're sitting here wondering, wait, there are 4 Dream Nails on the map? I thought the base game only has 3. Well, that's one of the features, one of the quality of life features that we have enabled for this tournament that are native to the randomizer. For each of the major items, you're going to see 2 copies put on the map just to make it a little bit easier to find progression just in case. There are still situations where you can have the duplicate claw, for example, locked in a location that's only accessible with a claw, but there's always that good chance to find an item out of progression that really changes things, how you route things.
Yeah, and for the Dream Nail in particular, because there's 4 of them, that becomes more likely. Unfortunately, we know one is actually locked behind Essence, so you do need Dream Nail to get at least one of the 4, but there are 2 more, hopefully, somewhere that Ash can find. And we see that SomeDude is coming back into Fungal to finish clearing out some of this. I'm not sure if he's got a particular goal in mind that I'm missing, or if he's just doing more checks. Maybe Galeon. He might be going to Deep Nest to fight Galeon.
That would actually be a really good play. It's something he fully has access to. He has the Lantern, he has the Dream Nail. He can just hop down the top here. Mimics isn't on the board, but this is still the right direction to go.
Yeah. I don't think SomeDude has any easier access. I mean, he could go through Queen's Gardens, but if your goal is to get to Galeon as quick as possible, I think this makes some sense.
One question that we as commentators and for the viewers is, what's at Grubs? There could be like 3 goals at Grubs for very low numbers of Grubs, and both these runners could have access to them, and they just don't know it yet because neither runner has checked Grubs yet.
Extremely relatable. Oh yeah, Zote in Deep Nest is also a goal here, so this is a really good play from SomeDude.
Oh yeah, 2 goals here would put him firmly in the lead again.
Yep, Galeon is through a dark room. SomeDude does have Lantern. Zote is accessible even without that.
Just a Hollowness Seal in the well. Unfortunate.
All right, looks like Ash has finally made it through. Talks to Elderbug, hopefully knows. Yes, okay, good.
I think most runners were watching the race where that was left behind. And an unfortunate fight with Grim happened while holding the flower quest.
Yeah, luckily it was a learning moment for us all.
And here Ash finally marks that goal.
Yep, so it's good to see the goal finally get marked, although again, the time investment it took to do it, unfortunately, has allowed SomeDude to get quite a big lead in the number of checks performed. He already has a lead in the progression items obtained as well, and he's on his way to 2 more goals here.
So Ash looks like she's going to follow SomeDude into the city. The question is, what's she going to do afterwards? I don't see a simple key on her board, though we did find one really close to the waterways. So the waterways is a reasonable play for her to make if she, say, sees SomeDude mark a goal in Deep Nest. And also going out to Kingdom's Edge would be a good play for her as well. Because with Claw and Dive, you can pretty much check every single thing you might be interested in checking in Kingdom's Edge. We are seeing her do the arena above King's Station here. This is one of the tougher arenas in the game. Dive is one of the better ways to deal with it, as we see Ash demonstrating here. And this is something that SomeDude did not do on his way down.
Yeah, having Dive and Howling Wraiths is a great combo for this particular arena, because there's basically just 2 kinds of enemies, the ones that spawn right above you and the ones that you can dive easily.
SomeDude now in the arena rescuing Zote, so we've got an arena high five going on. This is not the hardest arena. You can make it harder for yourself, but if you really just want to make sure you do it safe, you can stand in a corner and just spam your nail.
Yep.
But he's handling it very well here.
If you don't do that casually, but yeah, pretty easy once you learn. Finds Dream Shield, not a particularly relevant goal on this board. It'll be interesting to see where he heads. Oh, is he not going to rescue? Oh, he was a little bit too low. Okay.
Yeah.
So he'll get one more
Comes back for it.
That makes it 5-5 again.
Yep.
Or tied up again. And we can assume he'll be going for Galeon next. Ooh, Ash having some troubles on the way to Kings.
So Ash is likely seeing that SomeDude has marked this goal and will not follow SomeDude into Deep Nest for certain.
Yep, SomeDude meanwhile coming back and checking the rest of Essence, I guess.
Definitely worth doing. He's not really going to find anything. I'm sure I'll be back for that Howling race really shortly. And also the Dream Nail, so one thing to keep in mind, looking way into the future, if that Path of Pain goal, you do need 3 levels of Dream Nail to access the dream behind the king in the palace.
Yeah, that particular goal requires 3 copies of Dream Nail, Wings, Claw, Sea Dash, basically just about every item or movement item in the game to be able to complete. SomeDude looking a little bit lost. I'm not sure if he's trying to think of some checks that he hasn't done, trying to look for goals that he can complete.
Can definitely respect, taking a minute to think about what he should do. He really should be going back to Deep Nest, as he does, to get that Galleon goal. It wouldn't be totally unreasonable to go off in another direction just for a little bit, because him marking Zote has likely scared Ash out of Deep Nest. But I do think it makes sense to keep going in the path you're going and get the goals that you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I do respect him coming back here and doing the checks here along the way, though. Like this check here at Tram Pass is fairly out of the way, but again, as Meatbag mentioned, the fact that he marked Rescue Zone and Deep Nest, it will act as a deterrent to Ash. Ash is not going to head there anytime soon.
So Ash finds that simple key, and now she has to make a decision about where to go likely after talking to Zote. She too could go up here, she could go down, she could go right. There's not too much to the left that would be a useful expenditure over time, though. So she's going up. I forget how far SomeDude got here. Did he stop at the toll bench, or did he...
I don't even know if he went all the way up to the toll bench. Worth noting, SomeDude actually found City Storeroom Stag a while ago. So he could have done these checks up here much more easily than the way that he did. But actually, it looks like Ash will not be heading up there after all either. It looks like he went up to the toll bench, but stopped there.
All right, so SomeDude is making his way to Kingdom's Edge now. In this area of the map, the Kahlo is on the board. He is leaving Galleon in Deepness. He does, like we said, have everything to do with that. It's a tougher fight, but it's mitigated a little bit by the lifeblood in that room. But we are starting to see some new checks from him, so we'll hope that they're useful.
Yeah, I think that coming to Edge makes some sense, but definitely would have liked to see him get that Galleon goal while he was already in Deepness. He'll have to come back now. Maybe he's hoping to find some better damage before doing it, but in a lockout situation, you can't necessarily wait too long. You're always at risk of your opponent coming in and sniping you.
Or forgetting where a goal is and your opponent realizing, oh, they haven't done this yet, and coming behind you.
That is certainly the case. Looks like Ash will head up into the storerooms here. Again, SomeDude has the stag for the city storeroom, so these could have been quick checks, so we'll see if there's anything useful there. SomeDude trying to get this fake dive, not quite getting it. Needs to go back and farm some soul off these hoppers. So the idea
He has a claw.
Yeah. Wonder if he didn't realize that you could use claw to get up there.
He might have just been missing. Now I'm starting to question how many stags we've seen this game. We obviously haven't seen Queen Garden stag, because that would have led to at least 2 goals being marked in all likelihood.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have not seen that. There's a handful. I don't believe we've seen Hidden Station Stag or the Distant Village Stag either. But I will point out that Check the Stag Nest Vessel Fragment is on this board, and neither player has acquired wings yet. So we will wait with bated breath to see how many more stags they can acquire.
AbsolutelyAsh picking up her second Dreamer. If you get 3 Dreamers, you get access to 1 check in Black Egg Temple. There's 1 goal that that can get you, though it's not on this board. So Dreamers really are not relevant to what we're looking for, unless the Black Egg Temple has a useful item.
Right, and as we've seen in a couple of earlier tournament races, it's possible for Black Egg Temple to be useful. Both players already having Dash and Claw, probably not too worried about that check. Yeah, to answer a question in chat, the Stag Nest Station unlocks when you find every single randomized stag. So I don't know exactly how many there are, but it is not itself a randomized goal. It is still every stag to unlock.
It's a tough death from SomeDude, though he was going to make this trip down a second time because he skipped a Rancid check on the way down when he dove.
Yep, so out of all the places to die, it's not the absolute worst, but yeah, that room can be quite annoying to come back through, or to come through at all. Oh, Dash Master, that's actually a goal on the board for SomeDude, so that's pretty good for him.
Yeah, that death was had a nice silver lining to it.
I'll take 1 death per goal I get a mark. That's a decent trade. And we'll see him come back through here. Hopefully the Aspids play a little nicer this time around. Okay, and he gets through. Meanwhile, we are going to see the waterways from Ash. I like this. I find Cyclone Slash. I believe that's the first nail art we've seen.
Yeah.
Akin to the Dreamers, if you find all 3 nail arts, you get access to one check, which is the Nail Master's Glory check underneath Sly. Again, with the progression that they have so far, it's unlikely that they will need that, but we will have to wait and see.
So one thing that is different between the nail arts and the Dreamers is there is a Dreamer dupe on the board to make it easier for seeds where we're trying to progress towards Radiance or the Hollow Knight to have that completed. The nail arts, you have to find all 3 to get access to Nail Master's Glory, and there is not an extra copy anywhere. And so if something important is there, it can be a chore to track all those down.
Especially if that's that Monarch Wings.
Ash just picked up wings. That is now an advantage for her that it might take SomeDude quite a while to get back to. So this is definitely looking to shape up to be a good back and forth race, with each runner having access to different items.
Yeah, and I'll point out, Ash actually found, at the check just before that, Quick Slash, which was another random goal. So that actually brings it to 6-6 for the 2 runners. And with Wings now, that gives quick access to the Stag Nest Vessel Fragment, and quite a few checks. And we see SomeDude coming down here pretty soon after, so we'll hope to see that Ash might rush that Stag Nest Vessel Fragment goal.
The one advantage that SomeDude has is he'll be able to check the Shrine of Believers very quickly. And it'll be interesting to see, between those things, what the runners decide to do with the wings. Ash is heading to Dirtmouth right now. She wants to do King's Pass. Yeah,
for a minute, just wants to get a look at the scenery with these newly acquired wings. Finally decides to come up here to get the Howling Cliffs check. So I like this from Ash. We'll see if SomeDude instead rushes the Shrine of Believers, which he will. He had. Oh no, he's leaving.
Oh no!
No!
Oh no! He saw Quick Slash.
Oh, no.
Assumed that Ash has cleared this place out and is leaving.
Oh,
or is he? Oh, it looks like he's trying to go to the top. Okay, so he's gonna find his wings, just kind of in a roundabout way.
Okay. Yeah, I was worried that he was just gonna bail out halfway through that after seeing Quick Slash. Ash finding that second simple key. I don't believe we've seen the Pleasure House checks from SomeDude.
No.
Like we haven't. He still has the simple key. So we might see that a bit later, but I like this, rushing the Stag Nest goal. That's a quick goal, and you don't know when SomeDude will find wings, as it turns out, in just about 20 seconds here.
So this is a pogo that it's actually not that hard to do. It's not in logic normally. The game expects you to find all of the stags around the map before you can get here. But it's definitely something that is accessible pretty early on, as soon as you have wings, and maybe claw, maybe dash, and jump up and down on that.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out that
fly.
It is a pogo, but it is by far much easier than finding every single randomized stag.
All right.
What is SomeDude doing here? It looked like he went to go Dreamnail Willow's meal, maybe thinking that the Dreamnail White Lady goal, unless I'm blind.
I don't think Dreamnail Willow's meal is on here. I think he might have been confused about what he needed to Dreamnail for a second. Yeah, he should go back to the resting grounds, and he is, to get the Shrine of Believers entrance goal.
Yeah, I like this from SomeDude. So it'll be even again at 7-7. So this race is shaping up to be very close. Quite a few random goals still on the board. This is where I would really like to see SomeDude go back and try to make sure that he can secure that Galleon goal. It's been quite a while, and at this point, it's going to be very important that he stays ahead.
So, notably, Ash left the grubs there. Neither runner knows what's at grubs, so for as quick of a grub free as that is not one that I would recommend missing. But also, it'll be interesting to see where the runners go now. So we're kind of mostly looking for random checks at this point. Ash could work her way around to... No, I'm trying to think where she can go. She really doesn't have access to any goals. She really needs to find more items.
Yeah, I mean, Ash is missing that crucial dream nail that would give access to at least 2 of these goals.
Yeah.
Ash also doesn't have Ismas, so access into Queen's Gardens isn't easy. Yeah, so I like this going into Crystal Peaks in that situation where you need a lot of different checks. Crystal Peaks has a ton of checks for Ash, and hopefully Ash will be able to find some kind of extra movement or progression here, maybe one of those extra dream nails. From SomeDude, I would really like to see some rushing of some of those goals.
So Ash right now is demonstrating the way to pogo through towards the deep focus room. Normally, the randomizer would expect you to have C-dash to get through this, but she does a great job of getting all the way through it with only wings and dash.
Yeah, that's a good clear from Ash there. Meanwhile, from SomeDude, we're seeing the City Storms checks finally. He paused for a minute there. I'm not sure what happened there, but it looks like he's back on his way.
So both runners have access to Colo, even though that's kind of a pain. SomeDude has access to Galleon, but beyond that, it would be where we would need more items to be able to access anything else. Theoretically, they could do Right, oh yeah, SomeDude could do Marmu. They could both do Carefree Melody, I believe, because they both have Grimchild.
Yeah, and they both have Lantern to make it through Deep Nest. It's a bit of a pain, but at this point, with this close of a race, I would like to see some kind of prioritization of those.
Yeah. So Ash is checking new things, and SomeDude is kind of circling back to some quick checks that are commonly left behind, which is, totally reasonable thing to do. Oh, are we going to see grubs from SomeDude?
It looks like we are. All right, an hour 11 into the race, we'll get our first check of grubs. And
this is a white
fragment, which is relevant for Check Voidheart. Another copy of Isma's. Tram
Pass.
Strength.
The best charm in the game. And Thorns of Agony.
Actually, there's quite a lot at grubs that was missed there. I don't think that there's any completely... so Tram Pass with what they have, or at least with what SomeDude has, which is Isma's and Claw Wings, would give him easy access to the Dung Defender sign above Isma's Grove. That wouldn't require C-dash. And it was only 12 grubs, so that might be worth going for.
SomeDude taking a good think about what he should be doing now, while Ash is doing more checks, trying to beat up Crystal Guardian 2. A tough fight because every strike does 2 damage.
Yeah, especially with Nail Zero, just base dive and wraiths, no Shade Cloak. This isn't an easy fight by any means.
Not sure what SomeDude is doing right now.
Oh, but Ash gets it.
Nice fight, nice fight.
SomeDude, did he never do False Knight?
No, he didn't.
He's coming to do False Night. Okay, so some dude deciding to finally clean up Crossroads, I guess. He's decided he's seen enough of the rest of the map and just wants to come back.
It's so much fun to like go down a rabbit hole and come back and bully False Night around with like Howling Race or other spells. So that's one of my favorite things about Randomizer is, you know, sometimes you have to learn to get good and fight like Hornet 2 with double jump and nail 1, and sometimes you get to come back and totally bully the first 2 bosses of the game.
Yeah, it is the beauty of Randomizer. What you get is entirely dependent on the seed.
We also haven't seen Moloch from them. There's a few different checks around here that we haven't seen, but
yeah. So if you're looking at the board, SomeDude actually has access, in principle, to quite a few of these goals if he's willing to put the time in. He has full access to Queen's Gardens if he's willing to go through those gauntlets. He has access to Galeon and Marmu. He could do Trader Lord for Dreamnail White Lady. He could do Kalo 1. They're all long goals. But given that it's 7-7 kind of late into the race, I'd like to see him prioritize some of those, or at least make progress toward any of them.
yeah. So now SomeDude he's gone past the mound. He has to go back down to get the entrance there. But when you in fact Crossroads, you can't cross the gap between False Night and the Ancestral Mound. So he's making his way here. If I remember right, he's not going to find anything super relevant.
Yeah, I don't believe there was too much here. Yeah, Queen Station Stag has already been 2. That was helpful for Ash early on, but not in this scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, a Pale Ore.
So that's his first Pale Ore. I'm pretty sure she went around and got it.
If there was one in shops, that's obtained 2 Pale Ores, so that maybe he'll go and check that. Looks like
I feel like there
sure
wasn't one in shops. Because I'm sure we'd have seen Ash get that by now.
Yeah, I agree. It must have been. I thought I knew that Ash had one. I thought it was from shops, but apparently not. Oh, that's the second nail art for Ash. Although I believe the first one was actually found by SomeDude.
Yeah, they have different nail arts right now.
Yeah, okay. So not quite the Nail Master's Glory check that we're all waiting for.
So SomeDude is coming over here to check the vessel fragment that both runners left behind, I believe. Yeah, just circling back, cleaning up some checks.
First time, there was no vertical for either runner.
Yeah. It's definitely like, you know, mentally helpful to do this. Like while you're thinking of something else to go do, it's not unreasonable. But both players have access to completely new areas that the other have not checked, and have opportunities to clear out things and find new stuff that the other didn't.
Yeah, and there's other checks that you could do here too that definitely weren't available earlier, like Shio, for example. That might be better to do. Again, the name of the game, if you're trying to beat out your opponent to obtain goals, is to kind of try to go to places where you suspect they haven't been yet. And with these plays, I'm not quite sure that it's accomplishing that. We may see Queen's Gardens here from SomeDude, though. He's heading down into Fog Canyon.
So that'll be the Marmu goal. It's a hike, but he can get there, so it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I like this play if that's where he's headed.
I can see him stopping for the autopilot relic, for Ancestral Mound along the way, which is reasonable. Oh, that's his third Dreamer.
Okay, so that gives... we saw this from Ash.
I could have sworn we saw somebody get autopilot relic, but I guess not.
Yeah, I guess we haven't. That's interesting. Okay, yep, he's going into Queen's Garden, so I like this from SomeDude. He may be making his way toward those Trader Lord and Marmu goals.
I do think he should have gone into Ancestral Mound not to strand that check. It's on the way. He doesn't have a reason to believe that Ash is in this direction yet. I mean, he doesn't even have reason to believe that Ash has a Dream Nail at this point because Ash hasn't marked any goals with Dream Nail requirements yet.
Right. And Ash doesn't have a Dream Nail, so hopefully he doesn't have a reason to think she would.
I'm glad Ash decided to continue on after seeing Dashmaster there. Ash knows that SomeDude marked that goal, and it looks like she might continue her way up. Oh, equipping Dashmaster, good decision. That makes her go a lot faster.
Yep,
and
she'll be zooming around the map.
I hope she goes up from here because that's a bunch of stuff that SomeDude did not continue on for.
SomeDude with some masterful pogoing of those Petras there. Sometimes they control you a little bit and just throw one of those rings directly at you when you try to pogo them.
So we've been talking a lot about the movement advantages that SomeDude has, but there's definitely a spell advantage on the other side of the table with Abyss Shriek, which shreds these guys really quickly.
Absolutely. This arena becomes almost trivial with that spell in particular. SomeDude, meanwhile, only having Dive, it's about the most useless spell against these Petras. Oh no, SomeDude, heal.
Come on, SomeDude. This is a pretty safe way to heal. They kind of get stuck on those droppable tablets, but every once in a while they decide to change their mind and snipe you from above.
Yep, and their attacks go through the platforms too, so sometimes if you think you're safe, you really aren't. But SomeDude gets off those heals and finishes the arena. He'll get this bench for safety and continue on to Queen's Gardens.
Yeah, this is a good bench to get in Queen's Gardens. There's a bunch of checks around it and can definitely save you a lot of backtracking if you have access to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, we'll see these Kingdom's Edge checks from Ash. I'm not sure how far... Oh, that's actually the third nail art in quick succession. So yeah, you have to imagine, Ash is just immediately going to go and get that Nail Master's Glory check. I believe Ash has found all 3 nail arts in about the past 2 minutes.
That's really funny.
And we'll get a chance to see.
It's the Dreamer,
which allows Ash to access the Black Egg Temple. And
I really hope we find something here.
Exactly where Ash is going. Oh man.
This is still notable because it's something SomeDude has had access to but did not check. So if it's a goal here, it's a missed opportunity. Right now, SomeDude is fighting the Love Key arena. It's just 2 enemies, but they can be kind of mean.
Yeah, I think he made a wise decision backing out there, getting a couple heals off and coming back and fighting with more health.
For sure. These guys are pretty vulnerable to the dive spell. So, that's his second pale ore.
That's a goal.
Meanwhile, Ash finds Distant Village. This could get her access to Carefree Melody a lot more easy than SomeDude can.
Oh man, and it looks like Ash is going straight for that. I respect that. I think Ash is in a position where SomeDude definitely has the advantage here with Dream Nail, so grabbing a hold of any goal that you can is definitely wise.
So SomeDude's currently continue his way through Queen's Gardens. Queen's Gardens is like a tough area to justify unless there's goals there because it's really long. There's actually not a lot of items to pick up, and they're all far apart from each other. And taking an unfortunate death, but fortunately she did have, SomeDude does have that bench, so he'll be able to get back there pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's the utility of grabbing this bench. What you saw there from Ash, there's a bug that happens in this randomizer sometimes where Grimchild doesn't spawn in the tent. That can actually soft lock your game, so this is the one case where we're allowed to use the deploy bench feature of bench work, and that's exactly what Ash did there. Deployed a bench, sat on it, re-equipped Grimchild to get it to spawn, and then continued on with the fight.
And I guess this is a good time to mention the reason that we have bench warp on is it vastly speeds up how long these runs take, being able to, quickly get back to your checkpoints rather than having to hike all the way around, especially when stags are randomized. It just, makes this a 1 to 2 hour affair rather than, a 5 hour affair. That and the fact that just because of the order of items that you pick up, there's definitely certain locations of the game where you can get soft lock, like if you have double jump but not claw to get out of there. Normally you'd have claw well before double jump, but double jump can get you into some pits that you can't get out of without claw.
Yep, so in this version of the randomizer, bench work can be required to get you out of some of those kinds of locations. But to meet Beth's first point, it also just vastly speeds up the races for this tournament setting.
So we've got Ash fighting a reasonably hard boss. Not the hardest boss that... I think it's the hardest boss that's on the board.
Dreamnail White Lady, I'd say.
Oh, right, yeah. Trader Lord. They're different, right?
They are definitely different, yeah.
Yeah, they have like, Grim has a lot more movesets, but he also doesn't do double damage. But SomeDude is working his way through probably the hardest arena in the game.
Yeah, I don't think you'd find many to dispute that. This arena can be a real pain, especially when the only spell that SomeDude has is Dive. You see him using it there to good effect.
And with Nail 1 as well.
Yeah.
Or Nail 0.
Yeah, Nail 0. Ooh, using those iframes wisely. Oh no!
Ooh!
Yeah, just getting absolutely sniped by that Petra there. You hate to see it.
Fortunately, the bench that he grabbed makes it easy for him to get right back into the fight.
Yep. And it will be interesting, from that toll bench, he actually has very quick access into the Distant Village as well, even without the Distant Village stag. I think that Ash will have already finished this goal by the time he considers going down there, but that may have been his plan originally.
That said, SomeDude has not fought Grim at all yet, so he's a long way behind once Ash finishes this fight.
Yeah, there's no way that he could catch up at this point, but it may have been his plan at first, and he'll see that get marked soon. Probably before he cleans up the rest of the stuff in Queen's Gardens.
Especially because he doesn't have the Queen's Garden stag, so even after he completes this arena, he still has to go all the way around through all of the hoppers, which casually are a super fun enemy and not too threatening, but they are the bane of every speedrunner, because who knows where they're going to go and whether they're going to be nice or hunt you down with a vengeance.
Yeah, the frogs will kill many a run and many a traversal through the Queen's Gardens here. Hopefully SomeDude won't have those problems. He's struggling a little bit on this arena. I believe that this will be the time he gets through. And meanwhile, Ash having a pretty good Grim fight, staying up in health, dealing decent damage. Shouldn't be too much longer before Ash is done with that one.
So while they're both fighting again, let's talk a little bit more about the rando mod. One of the things that the runners can do is look at the tracker and helper logs that the rando mod kind of builds as you're running the map. The helper log will tell you places that you can go, that you do have access to with the items that you have, and the tracker log will tell you places that you have been and what you found on them. The tracker log is helpful more for other formats which you're playing with a partner, so that you can tell them, oh, this is where you need to get this important key item. But the helper log is useful, just for beginners to like figure out where the items that they have access to can be found. But also, if you're in the middle of a race and you're like, where do I go? Where can I go? It's totally within the rules of this tournament to open that up and get a hint that way. The runners here have agreed not to use a mod that basically imports the helper log into the game, but that's another quality of life mod that you can use to make rando a little bit easier and more fun if you're newer to the mod.
Yeah, and I would recommend anyone who's going to try out the randomizer, anybody whose interest is piqued by this tournament event, go and check out that mod. It's called the Rando Map mod. It will show you on your map where all the accessible locations are, and it's extremely helpful for learning about what you can check with what items you get. SomeDude really struggling with that, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Ash did finish up the Grim fight, and presumably we'll head to Distant Village soon. Just doing this quick Willows check first.
Yeah. I would not judge SomeDude at this point if he went, got his soul back, and then got 2 nail upgrades, because he's the one who found that second pale ore. Ooh, Shaman Stone for Ash. So Shaman Stone is one of the best charms in the game if you like hitting things with spells. Vastly increases the damage you have with spells.
Yeah, that's a big pickup for Ash, especially with the spell advantage that Ash already has. That just makes it even bigger. So SomeDude does get his shade and is going to warp out. We'll see if he does get those nail upgrades. It could hurt him a little bit, just because he needs to go kill Marmu and Galeon. Their health does scale. If you get nail upgrades, they'll have more health. But given that his only good spell, or his only spell at all, is dive, and that's pretty hard to use on those dream bosses, I wouldn't blame him if that's where he decided to go.
So to that point, upgrading your nail makes their health scale with the nail, but it doesn't scale the spells. So it really only nerfs your spells. So like Mathula just said, this one spell he has isn't effective, so it's not going to change his fight with his nail, but it's going to make all of the arenas and other enemies that he fights this game a lot easier.
Yeah, especially with some of these other goals like Colo 1 and Stream Nail White Lady on the board, those nail upgrades are going to be helpful just to make them easier, but also to make them faster. It's definitely worth getting a couple of those if you can.
So Ash is going to mark Carefree Melody after about 1 more bench warp back to Dirt Math. But from there, it'll be interesting to see where she decides to go. She could go straight back to Distant Village and get that. She's still missing a Dream Nail, so she really can't get those 2 Dream Warrior bosses. There's that mark. Very close race this entire time through.
Yep, 8-8 here, so we're in for a real nail biter, I believe. So we'll see what Ash decides to do. Again, not a whole lot of options on this board. There's Colo 1, and can't even do the Dream Nail White Lady without a second dash, so Colo 1 may actually be where Ash is headed now. Yep. Hopefully we'll find a Dream Nail somewhere along the way. Yeah,
all right, so here's
a reminder to anyone who's watching. There is a potential 3-hour time limit on this match. After 3 hours, whoever has the most goals wins. If they're tied, then it goes down as a tie. We're an hour and a half in. They both have 8 goals, but again, some of these can be quite time-consuming goals. So we'll see how it goes for the next hour and a half.
And I don't know about SomeDude, but before the race, Ash said that she had never done Path of Pain before. So that is definitely not something that is easy to do.
Yeah,
if you've never
especially
done it before.
under pressure at a tournament setting like this. So we may see that come into play. Again, sitting at 0 dream nails here, an hour and a half in, 3 dream nails required to do the Path of Pain. So we're not particularly close to it even being attemptable, let alone getting through those attempts for Ash, but we'll see. Completing that Bellfly journal entry by dashing straight into it. You love to see it.
So we're going to see 2 items on Kahlo, and she will probably also check, not the Trial of the Fool, nothing there, Hollowness Seal, and a Vessel Fragment. So nothing of value at Kahlo. It looks like the game really wants you to do the Path of Pain for that Crystal Dash, which once SomeDude gets this arena down, he could be able to get to pretty... Oh, that was a painful death.
Yeah, those guys, after you kill them, they leave behind spiky bodies that are... we might want to switch audio quickly. There's going to be a sound warning for anybody. I don't think I can switch it quick enough. I'm sorry. Sorry to everyone watching. For some reason, Pale Lurker's audio is messed up and will just play extremely loudly, no matter what the volume settings are at. But we will see the Pale Lurker check from Ash here.
King's Idol below it being nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, this mini-boss can be a bit of a pain, especially when you don't have Vengeful Spirit to be able to hit it from far away.
Yeah, I find Dive to be an effective way to beat up this boss. Nail Zero is definitely a hard way to do this fight without some spells.
Yeah, absolutely. SomeDude, meanwhile, coming back to this arena, this attempt looking a lot better than the previous ones. I believe that this is the time he'll get it. Good use of dive there for some iframes. Oh boy, Ash.
Oof.
Okay, we're
Gets it.
Never in doubt.
Only a rancid egg.
Unfortunately.
But she does have the bench in the Colosseum, which will make it easier for her if she so decides to get a nail upgrade and come back to it. Kahlo 1, not too hard with a couple those 2 easy nail upgrades.
Yep, absolutely. SomeDude, meanwhile, does make it through this arena, and he will head up into the rest of QG. He saves that grub. Makes me think that he knows that Tram Pass could be his ticket to the Dung Defender sign outside of doing Crystal Dash at Flower Quest. Although he may actually be getting this bench and doing the Flower Quest as well. That's not a bad option, given that they agreed to bench warp as a potential solution.
Yeah. Looks like Ash is coming back up for Hornet, which will reward her with Isma's tier. There's one more item that we hope she finds, which is the Dream Nail, which is locked behind a couple pools of acid.
Yeah, so I would love to see Ash get Isma's and then go and check that quick check just like SomeDude did, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, she should know that SomeDude got Dream Nail very, very early on in the seed, so checking some of those early accessible items could get her the Dream Nail that she's been missing. And that would for sure potentially lead her to Galleon, which SomeDude has had access to for a very long time and left on the board. I assume he's going to mark Marmu in short order here, but then we'll see where he goes afterwards.
Yep. Meanwhile, we'll see this Lake of Uncheck from Ash. I believe that SomeDude already did this check much earlier in the race. I don't recall it being anything particularly useful.
The fact that SomeDude just picked up his 3rd simple key reminds me that we still have not seen what's inside the Pleasure Palace from either of the runners, despite both having access to it for a very long time.
Yep. We may see that later. SomeDude is going after Marmu here. Hopefully doesn't get bullied too hard. Again, without any spells other than dive. Dive not the most useful for fighting Marmu, as he basically always stays above you. Hopefully it won't be too difficult for him. Just a Rancid get done.
Yep. Ash is back at
Yeah, go on.
Stone Sanctuary. We'll see where she decides to go from here. She can't get to the acid check that she needs to get through from here. Maybe she's thinking that SomeDude found it at Autopilot Relic or at the mound back here. That we've seen that there, I believe it was a white fragment here, which will be her it'll be her second, and then we haven't seen the mound from SomeDude, so that's a potential advantage that Ash could gain if she goes in that direction.
Yeah,
oh no, this was Monomon.
Oh yeah. And Ash already had 3 Dreamers, so that's not particularly helpful. SomeDude, meanwhile, is going to do this bench warp flower quest and finally get Seed Ash, so that's a big advantage for him.
This was, again, something that the runners agreed that they could do beforehand. It looks like Ash is also skipping the overgrown mound here.
Yeah, and Ash by now has seen that Marmu has been marked, so may just be in a rush to kind of get there and catch up, knowing that SomeDude has easy access to the flower quest rewards. Oh, maybe just warping
I think
out.
now she just noticed. Yeah.
Yep, there.
Still missing the dream nail though.
Where's Ash going? Oh, I guess this egg has never been checked.
Yep.
All right, SomeDude picking up Crystal Heart. We'll see. That gives him very easy access to the Dung Defender sign above Isma's Grove. And it looks like that's exactly where he's going.
Good play from SomeDude here. Oh, wow.
Wow. Oh my goodness, the mod log play from AbsolutelyAsh, finding Queen's Garden Stag, warping out of Queen's Gardens to go immediately check one thing that happens to be Queen's Garden Stag and just go right back there. That is absolutely big brain play.
So, taking stock of this board again, Ash is going to mark that goal and then kind of has to decide what she wants to do from here. She's checking the relic after Marmu. She's not going to fight Marmu, but
yeah, Ash still not having a Dream Nail, so doesn't have access to even do these fights or the Dream Nail White Lady goal.
Right. So Dream Nail White Lady not on her radar yet. She has access to Hollow 1, but from there. On the board, we're kind of just missing some checks. It looks like she did get it, so let me update the scores.
Oh man, I completely missed that Ride the Stag to Queen's Garden is actually a goal.
All right, so SomeDude getting his 10th goal.
Oh no!
Ooh, taking a painful death there.
Yeah, he'll have to come back and get that check and his shade. That is.
All right, so Ash is coming to Kahlo. This is a reasonable play for her. We'll see what SomeDude.
I don't believe so.
Ash did not get nail upgrades, so she's fighting this normally.
All right. Kahlo 1 is pretty doable. Ash has dive and wraiths and shaman stone, so has a decent amount of damage. Still nail 0, not the greatest way to do any Coliseum fight.
Looks like SomeDude is going to go for Dream Nail the White Lady. Thinking further about, what we have and what we have yet to find. Galleon, totally viable goal for SomeDude. Dream Nail White Lady is going to be a tough goal for him. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him even like go get that dream nail from Essence, which he can do right now, just so he can set a dream gate right outside the boss room and not have to make this trip, assuming he dies. And then we're still missing King's Brand to be able to get access to Void Heart. I believe we still only have one King's Soul Fragment from both players, and we still haven't seen Defender's Crest, and we're still missing a Dream Nail from somewhere to be able to get Path of Pain. So we're still actually missing quite a few random items.
Yeah, so checks will be required. If Ash gets Kalo 1 and SomeDude gets Trader Lord and Galeon, he would still need one more random goal in order to take that victory. Of course, SomeDude with a huge advantage on Galeon, and that Ash still does not have the Dream Nail, so being locked out of that all of those Dream Nail goals is pretty rough.
I'm a big fan of the Sharp Shadow fight with the Trader Lord here. It's a good strategy because you end up dashing through him quite a bit over the course of the fight.
Oh no.
Oof, unfortunate death from Ash in the Coliseum.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. To answer the question in chat, Dream Nail was at the relic at the top of the right side of Fog Canyon. It was Isma's locked, essentially. And unfortunately, SomeDude taking a death there as well. So we'll see if he decides to do what you mentioned earlier, which is pick up that Dream Gate that's available at Essence to make this a much less painful walk back. Looks like he's going straight back there, though. I believe he's got it this time.
Ash looks like she is going to go for some nail upgrades at this point. I believe she only has one Pale Ore, but that will give her the same nail power that SomeDude has at this point.
Yep, you need 3 Pale Ore to get that third nail upgrade, so 1 is as good as 2. And that'll make Kalo a lot easier. Definitely recommend to anyone not too familiar with the Coliseum fights, try to go in with either some decent nail damage or some decent spell damage. Where's his shade?
He got it already.
Did he lose it early?
I think he lost his shade. I forget where he left it, but he's been running around without it for quite a while.
Oh no, I think it was from Waterways when he died there.
Oh
He
yeah.
never went back.
I'm surprised he didn't go back there because that's stranding 2 checks that you know, are a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, there are also checks that you're basically certain your opponent will not go for now that you've marked the Dung Defender sign goal, so maybe it makes sense putting them off, but I think it's wise to kind of rush this Trader Lord goal. Again, he has no reason to think that Ash actually has a Dream Nail.
Yeah. Let's see where Ash is headed now from the mound. She could be going straight for...
Oh, might be heading right to where that Dream Nail is. Ash pulling out that mod log once again. I really hope so.
That doesn't let her fight the Trader Lord, so Ash is still at a movement disadvantage because she does not have Shade Cloak yet. She only has the normal dash, and so she can't even get access to Trader Lord yet. Oh, SomeDude has completed the fight, so this is going to be his 11th goal. Now he's going to have to make a decision about where to go next. If he rushes for the Kalo, he could snipe that from Ash and then cleanly get to Galleon without much effort.
Yeah, so I'd like to see Ash do either that Kalo goal or head down and try to snipe that Galleon goal. At this point, Ash getting that Dream Nail. I'm going to check the Fog Canyon Charm Notch. This is a pretty quick check. Not the most fun, but when you have dive, it's okay. Oh, finding VS. That's actually kind of worth it. Vengeful Spirit, a pretty useful spell, especially in the Coliseum. So we'll see if Ash goes back for that. But I'd like to see Galleon sniped here.
Ash needs to go back and do one of those two really, really quick, or she might fall too far behind to catch up.
Oh, Ash heading to Fungal Waste. I'm not sure what's here that Ash has decided to go after.
So she hasn't done Fungal Core, which is 2 quick checks, and it gets her into Deep Nest. There's faster ways to get here, though. So if she goes...
It's dangerous when your opponent's sitting at 10 goals, and there's 3 static goals on the board that are possible. In fact, he actually now has 11, has completed the Dreamnail White Lady goal.
Right.
Yeah, with Kala 1 and Galeon on the board, you got to snipe one of those static goals, or your opponent's just gonna win.
So SomeDude went and got some spells. Oof. Hate to see Sprint Master when your opponent already marked a goal like that.
That is rough. SomeDude, I believe, finally checking Black Egg Temple. He'll find the Distant Village Stag too little too late, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
Again, if you're SomeDude, you've got 2 static goals on the board you can go do. Maybe he's not comfortable with the Galeon or the Kala 1, but I'd like to see some attempts there.
Yeah. Alright, so there's one more check that Ash is going to get here that SomeDude hasn't gotten. That is the super secret Deep Nest seal. She needs to go up to the next room, but we'll see what happens next. One thing that's notable about Distant Village Stag is I don't believe Ash checked any of the items there except for the stag item.
Yeah, I don't believe that Ash traveled into Beast Den at all. So we will maybe see some of those checks from SomeDude. SomeDude
gets the Shaman Stone, but can't afford it.
Oh no. Ton of Geo at the super secret seal. Not particularly useful at this stage of the game. Yeah, SomeDude will head on into Beast Den and do these checks. He's going to show off this skip here. This is actually, I guess, developer intended. There's a path here that you can basically dash up to and use wings to get into that tunnel. It lets you skip the entire trap bench sequence.
Developers mostly friendly to speedrunning, though every once in a while they realize they didn't want us to do something like hit levers through walls, because why would that be normal, and disable those. But the rando community has turned that back on because going fast is fun, and so as we've seen Ash do, there are some lever skips that have been put back in the game.
Yep, that quality of life mod adding back in some of those skips is makes it just a little bit more enjoyable of a speedy kind of rando race. We'll see
so
this
now we've got
SomeDude here using Sharp Shadow to dash through those spiders. They never even saw what was coming.
I want to see Ash go straight to Galleon without even touching the bench, right? She should... Well, I can see touching the bench, but she certainly shouldn't check Stag's Nest or the Zote Relic at this point. She knows that SomeDude got the Zote Relic a long time ago.
Yep.
And really, she should be here for the goal, and then she should leave and go do Kahlo.
Yeah, I agree. I think go straight for Galeon. Grab this bench, but go straight for Galeon after that, and then go back and do Kahlo.
Now SomeDude is making...
So this fight shouldn't be too bad.
No, she got nailed too.
Oh, really? I forgot about that. Oops. Okay, this fight will not be super easy then, but it's still not the worst in the world, so Ash hopefully will be able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Galleon's not too hard to just beat up with your nail. It's definitely one of the harder Dream Nail fights, especially if you're new. But the game does give you some lifeblood charm right in the room. SomeDude's working his way up to the Kahlo. He's doing the checks on the way, which is reasonable because there are still a few random things on the board. but we know that there's nothing there.
He did not find the third one yet, so he will not get baited into that Nailmaster's Glory check. Ash getting that lifeblood, it is pretty helpful for this fight. Should give a nice cushion to be able to beat Galen without too much trouble. And this is where, if you're SomeDude, you really got to think about why you didn't do this goal when you were in Deep Nest rescuing Zote. You had the chance for more or less half the game. Maybe you're just not comfortable with the Galen fight, and that's okay, but you like to see some attempts at it at least. SomeDude, meanwhile, looks like heading up to Kahlo, so we might actually see a bit of a trade of goals from where I expected things would stand about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting because Ash has much better spells for Kahlo than SomeDude does, and she might actually even beat him up to the Colosseum itself, because she's going to probably warp straight there. That's her 10th goal. This is going to be very, very tight. No, is she continuing in Deep Nest? This is a big mistake for Ash if she stays here. She needs to go get that goal and prevent SomeDude from getting ahead of her.
Yeah. I mean, I liked rushing for Galeon. I liked skipping the tram pass and the Zote checks. Continuing in Deep Nest here, I think, is just a bit of a tactical mistake. When Kahlo 1's on the board, again, SomeDude at 11 goals. Getting that goal makes it 11-11. If he gets it 12-10, and he's just one away from victory. And it looks like SomeDude will head right up there. As mentioned earlier, he doesn't have quite as much damage as Ash, but he did pick up rates from Essence.
He has 2 nail upgrades, so I think, this isn't the hardest thing to do with a couple nail upgrades, and he's in good position. Ooh, that is a tough death from Ash.
Yeah, that is.
We'll see if she comes back for her shade. There's really no more reason to have Geo this game. Looks like she's going back for it.
Oh man,
this is not where.
I think you just warp out and try Kahlo.
Yeah.
This will be a long distraction here, unfortunately. SomeDude, meanwhile, again, I feel like rushing these goals is pretty important at this point. You know that Ash has access to Kahlo 1. You have a very slim lead, but coming to do Pale Lurker, maybe just checking the Relic. We know that Pale Lurker wasn't anything. Yeah, he decides not to fight Pale Lurker, so I respect that. We'll see if he comes and does Kahlo now.
Yeah, that looks like what is happening. So from there, we're missing, 3 items essentially. SomeDude will need one of them essentially. So he's missing Kingsbrand and half of Kingsoul. Ash and either of them could find Defender's Crest somewhere and get that goal. But to check Void Heart, we're still missing a couple items. And then for Path of Pain, we know where one Dream Nail is. I don't know if Ash ever checked Essence though. And Ash will need to find, both runners will need to find that one remaining of 2 Dream Nails that are somewhere on the map. There's a bunch of places that the runners have either stranded or left behind, and there's a bunch of places neither person has checked. So there's still a lot of places on this map that we don't know a lot of information about.
Yeah, there's still a chance if SomeDude gets this Kahlo 1 goal that Ash can come back and take all those random goals. But again, as you mentioned before the race, Ash not particularly comfortable with Path of Pain. If SomeDude gets to 12 goals, that would become mandatory for a win.
Yeah. So there's the love key, which you really don't want to see at this point. You'd rather that be like in the hive because you're never going to go there.
It's kind of one of those where you don't want to see it at any point in the run, but especially not right now when you're looking for some weird checks. Finding Spell Twister as well.
I'm not going to complain about that, but it's not what I'm looking for.
And a pale ore.
Her second pale ore feels kind of bad. So Ash can check one more item here and then has to make a decision about where to go. Really should have been in Kahlo, 3-4 minutes ago.
Yeah, and at this point, it looks like SomeDude will be finishing out Kahlo before Ash really has a chance to go and give it a shot. So, a bit unfortunate to see that, but hopefully Ash can spend some of this time, if not doing Kahlo, at least finding some of those random goals that are necessary.
Where will she go? Looks like she wants to check Beast Den, maybe? But the fastest way there is for her to take the stag.
Looks like that might be where Ash is going.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, a bit unfortunate. We've seen SomeDude check Beast Den already. We know that there's nothing particularly useful there.
So we should take a minute to think through where we haven't seen the majority of checks right now. So we haven't seen anything of Soul Sanctum. We obviously haven't seen the Abyss because we're still missing Kingsbrand. We haven't seen Ancient Basin at all. The 2 Ismas checks have been stranded.
Yep, there's a couple of boss fights. We're missing Mantis Lords, Watcher Knights. That's 6 checks between them.
Oh yeah, not to mention all of the one-off boss fights all over the map, like Umu, the Collector, which Ash now has access to, Nosk, which they both have access to, and so on.
Yeah, so it really could be at any of these kinds of places. Probably the most dense location is what you mentioned, which is Soul Sanctum. I believe there's at least 4 checks there that they have full access to. Not too bad to go through. Soul Master, one of the easier potential bosses to fight.
SomeDude really making me clench here for a minute. At 1 health, fighting some Aspids.
Aspids are never fun to fight at any amount of health, but 1 health especially.
Looks like he makes a recovery, and he's almost to the final phase of the arena.
Yep, and I believe SomeDude will be closing out this goal in a matter of a minute or 2. Ash, unfortunately, having some troubles with that to bout. That's one more thing that, unfortunately, without Shade Cloak, becomes a lot harder to navigate in the Beast Den. You can't dash through those enemies. You have to actually kill them to get past when they're blocking the route like that.
So Ash could be taking a different route here that makes it so that she doesn't have to interact with those. Leaving the grub again.
Absolutely indefensible. I cannot imagine anyone who would decide to leave.
At least in a rando.
I mean, especially not in an any % NMG speedrun.
Definitely not.
All right, SomeDude on to the last battle here against these 2 Gross Mothers. Don't think he'll have too much trouble with that. Commentator's curse? No, he's fine.
1 more to go, and then you'll be able to mark the goal. Oh no, the Kahlo is not over yet. He cannot mark the goal yet. There's 1 more enemy to fight here. Whoa, 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 whoa! Too early, violating the rules. Excuse me, SomeDude.
No, oh no, you can't warp out.
I am
He cleared it. He cleared it. He almost forgot about the absolute final boss of Kahlo 1. He saved Zote in Deepness, so here he comes to get his revenge.
I may have been in the same situation as SomeDude before, where I had rescued Zote, got to the end of what I thought was the end of Kahlo 1, marked the goal, and then the screen starts shaking, and I'm like, wait, what's still going on? And had to unmark that goal for a good, 15 more seconds.
Luckily, in this case, it was not the nail biter with Ash also doing Kahlo at the same time. Then it could have actually caused some problems, but... Again, we're back here. Ash going down to do these basin checks, I believe we haven't seen from either runner, as you mentioned.
So we're in a situation right now where SomeDude can win immediately if he finds Defender's Crest anywhere. Oh, there's a third Dream Nail.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Or if he finds both a White Fragment and the King's Brand, right? Ash needs to find all 3 of those before SomeDude. There are 3 White Fragments throughout the map that both of them have not found. I forget if they found the same one or if they found different ones at this point. Just as we're crossing that 2-hour mark in the race.
I believe they both found the same one. It was the one in the waterways above where they found Monarch Wings. Okay,
yeah, that's right. But they both have big regions of the map that have not been checked.
Oh, and speak of the devil, there is a second White Fragment. Okay,
so that's a small edge for Ash, right? So now she just needs to find King's Brand and the Dung Defender, or the Defender's Crest to stay in it.
Well, Ash actually also needing a Shade Cloak, which SomeDude's had for
Oh, that's true.
I don't remember where SomeDude found that. Maybe it was in Glade. So we'll see if
that's right. That's where he got it.
Go back to check that, to be honest, because she knows that SomeDude's been there. So
yeah. So Ash dies here. It's also worth noting that SomeDude does have a minor movement advantage because he does have C dash, and Ash skipped out on doing the flower quest instead. The C dash, it's very unlikely that it's C dash locked, the dupe. But it's definitely possible.
Yeah, and C-Dash required for Path of Pain as well. So if it did come down to that, Ash would either have to find the dupe or do the flower quest. Again, the flower quest not so bad, given that they've agreed to bench warp it. Ash does have access to the Queen's Garden bench.
Now that I think about it, the C-Dash on Isma, or on the Flower Quest, might have been the dupe, because if I'm remembering right, the logic for what's can be on Flower Quest basically requires every movement item and some that you really don't actually need. I forget if that's on the list.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that Wings, for example, is required in the logic on easy for Flower Quest. I'm not sure if C-Dash is, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Wings, of course, not technically required to do that. Ash has Claw. Okay. What is Ash doing? I guess going to get this toll bench before heading up there. I respect that choice. Meanwhile, SomeDude coming to peaks. We've actually already seen most of this from Ash, so...
I think the only thing that wasn't checked was the peak and possibly also Crystallized Mound.
Yeah,
so this is the kind of
either of those. Yeah.
I think this is so SomeDude right now is in the situation that you don't want to find yourself in at the end of a randomizer, checking things that the opponent has already checked. Sometimes it's hard to know where that is, but there's definitely areas of the map that he could go back to, that he stranded stuff that he, could suspect that his opponent hasn't gone to yet. She did fight Crystal Guardian too.
Yeah, CG2 was fought. We'll see if SomeDude's going to go there. It'll be a bit of an easier fight for SomeDude this time around compared to Ash, because he does have nail upgrades and Shaman Stone. Hopefully it goes all right.
So Ash is going to have access to 2 items here that we haven't seen yet. The simple key down below where she is, and then the normal place where you would find the Monarch Wings that both runners have had for quite some time now.
Yeah, and we'll see if Ash continues on to the Monarch Wings check. That's behind the Broken Vessel fight. Not too hard of a fight at this stage with the upgrades that Ash has, but slightly time consuming. For one check, it's not the fastest boss. Ash having some trouble with these Maulurks, gets by just fine. Never in doubt. And finds a Bish Shriek. That's kind of nice. A little bit late in the seed to be finding it, unfortunately, but always nice to get a little bit of extra damage. Especially if it's going to come down to some boss fights. I'll take this opportunity to remind everyone that as SomeDude just checked his inventory, both runners have 2 extra simple keys, and neither has checked Pleasure House while they go on this check hunt. Those are 2 very quick checks that we've actually seen from neither. So hopefully they'll go back there and check that at some point. Looks like Ash will head up to the Broken Vessel fight, or at least open this shortcut. Get some soul, heal up. Yep.
I've definitely come back up at very low health, opened that door, and gone to the bench just to refill my health before this fight. Totally reasonable thing to do.
Absolutely. It's easy, to be honest, I think the hardest part about the Broken Vessel fight is getting there through all those Maldorks. They can really be problems.
Yeah. And Ash definitely has a bunch of items, equipment that should make this fight relatively easy.
Yeah, with Dive, Shaman, Nail 2, yep, fight's already over before I can even finish describing all the damage that Ash can output.
This is one of those situations where you're bullying a boss that just isn't designed for a full output. Loadout that you have by the end of a randomizer seed. SomeDude is going up for one of the 2 checks that we haven't seen in Crystal Peaks. If it's something important, it could be a really long time before Ash comes back here.
Yeah, I have to imagine that Ash will just not ever return to the Hollowness Crown for this race. Of course, if SomeDude does find something that turns out to be important for him to this board, that might be game. If he finds Defender's Crest, for example.
Or Kingsbrand would basically be it.
Yeah, I guess he needs one more white fragment, but unfortunately just finding a Rancid Egg, not particularly relevant to what we need now.
So Ash is now going up to Soul Sanctum, it looks like. This is another area that has 4 checks that neither runner has been to yet, so this is a good place to go.
Yeah, and again, an area where the gear that Ash has is pretty overpowered for it, which is, of course, good when you're trying to get a lot of quick checks, so I like this play. Yeah, Does
she have... Oh, she has the Elegant Key, too.
Oh, Elegant Key, yeah, that's a good check as well. So that actually makes it 5 checks here in Sanctum.
Yep. I don't know if Ash did this either. Well,
Ash did check.
Didn't matter.
I remember that much, yeah. Yeah, lots of Rancid Eggs.
I feel like the tracker should have a Rancid Egg count instead of like Grubberfy's Elegy.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I think Rancid Egg counts are important to know as the viewer and as a commentator. Oh, finding a Shade Clip, that's huge for Ash. So Kingsbrand alone would give check Void Heart. And if Ash can find Kingsbrand here in Sanctum, that's going to be one pretty good goal to get back on track to tying this game up. We'll see. SomeDude still checking out peaks. I think, as you mentioned, I don't believe we saw Crystallized Mound, which it looks like he might be heading for now.
Yeah. Did he not go through the Crusher Room?
He may have gotten low on health and decided to come back for it in a minute.
Yeah. All right, so the movement has finally been equalized. So now Ash has a slight lead towards one of the goals, but we're still waiting on a couple key items that could essentially be anywhere on the map.
And Ash getting absolutely bullied by those twisters. As basically anyone who's ever gone through Soul Sanctum knows, those enemies can be an utter disaster. If you've ever gone through Soul Sanctum quickly, they become an even bigger disaster. Luckily, having a nail art to skip what's probably the worst room of Sanctum, affectionately known as the Hell Room, not necessary for Ash this time around. SomeDude will get this check at Crystallized Mound, finds Gathering Swarm. Unfortunately, not the charm that he is looking for. at this stage of the game.
Ash going to completely bully Soulmaster with like 1.5 of the streaks.
Oh man.
And like
quick slash nail too.
If she hadn't gotten interrupted, that would have been the end of it too. Glowing Womb I don't think we've seen from either player, so this is a useful check for SomeDude to do. We'll see what Ash finds at the 3 checks for beating this boss. Resting Ground Stag, not helpful.
Always disappointing when you find a stag you've already got the bench for. With a bench warp mod, it becomes essentially irrelevant. SomeDude down to 1 HP, but will get a chance to heal.
There's the dupe wings.
It's unfortunate. Alright, this is the last check in Sanctum. We'll see if it pays off. And that is a 4th simple key, I believe.
I hope that reminds her to check Pleasure House at this point. It looks like it is. She's going to King's Station.
Okay. 4 simple keys puts Pleasure House in logic, so it could even be Kingsbrand in there. That is every simple key in the game, by the way, before Pleasure House was finally checked.
She hasn't... Oh, she's... Yeah, they both went into Waterways.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, Ash just walking right past Pleasure House.
No!
Ash, there's 2 checks. It takes no time. Please, go back.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Ash is listening. Thank you. I think Ash just maybe
needs to remember where it is,
yeah,
and she'll find it.
It's one of these. There we go. SomeDude maybe also coming to check Pleasure House. I missed what was that glowing womb. Did you?
No, I didn't. Chat, what was the glowing womb?
Help us, chat. We aren't listening. Unfortunately, a Rinsedig. Yeah, so we get Pleasure House check from both runners simultaneously. And a King's Idol. Unfortunately, did not pay off.
Well, it looked like Ash was trying to make her way to Watcher Knights, and that, no, she's going somewhere else.
I guess not. Watcher Knights also essentially melt when you have Abyss Shriek and Shaman Stone. That's 3 pretty quick checks. This is not a bad idea either. Fluke Arm dies to, I believe, just 3 Abyss Shrieks with Shaman Stone, actually.
And a nail hit, but yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
This will be very quick. Maybe a little more. I don't know.
Yeah,
you might need to have like nail 3 or nail 4 for that to apply.
In any case, with Abyss Shriek and Shaman Stone, this will not be a difficult fight for Ash.
Emre is the expert here, so she says 4.
4 with Shaman question mark. What gave knowledge? I know you just spammed the quick cast button, Emre. I know that there's no game knowledge required there.
There it is.
Okay, she gets the kill. It does take 4. We have all learned something here today. And it's Void Heart. Wow. Okay, so that's actually pretty good for Ash. I don't think that SomeDude might be checking this basin, the Pale Ore Basin, which I believe was the other white fragment. Again,
so
Kingsbrand, so we'll still have to wait and see.
Kingsbrand really doesn't help so much. It makes so normally Kingsbrand makes it so that various shades won't chase you around. But what?
Void Heart makes it so that the
oh yeah, Void Heart makes it so that various shades won't chase you around. Here, it basically just turns off the Void Tendrils. That was a change that had to be implemented to make it so that various shade skips could still be done in the Rando mod if you somehow found Void Heart super early.
Right. The main benefit of finding that Void Heart would be hoping that SomeDude doesn't check Fluke Marm anytime soon, and so he would be locked out of a second white fragment for the check Void Heart goal, but unfortunately he went directly for the other white fragment that Ash found. So now there's essentially no advantage. Oh my goodness, the simple key I got Junior is the other Crystal Dash.
So now movement is equal. That doesn't give Ash access to too many other things. I guess it lets her go to the right side of waterways to those 2 Isthmus checks that SomeDude stranded, which she might be doing now.
And if that turns out to be Kingsbrand, that will be a very tragic death from SomeDude earlier on in the race.
I could also see her fighting Dung Defender at this point, because both of those plays are 2 checks, but it looks like she is going down towards the Isthmus checks at this point.
Yep. I would still like to see either Mantis Lords or Watcher Knights for those 3 checks. Those are pretty quick, especially with the spells and the nail upgrades that they have now. But I do like this. If you're Ash, you know that SomeDude has marked the Dung Defender sign. You don't know that SomeDude did not actually get the checks there, but this is a bit of a risky play. You can almost guarantee that this is actually something that SomeDude should have already had. Well, we will find out. Okay, just some Geo here. The next check is Isma's tier itself.
So both runners, just to recap, if you're just joining us, are missing Kingsbrand and Defender's Crest. So there is nothing at Isma's. Looks like SomeDude is currently following in Ash's footsteps to do a whole bunch of checks down here in Ancient Basin. So
if you're
Ash has the initiative.
See, you're behind in goals. You gotta hope that SomeDude is just behind you and checking these random items. Unfortunately, Ash decided to come check Glowing Womb. It didn't turn out to be anything useful, I guess. I still didn't actually catch what was here, but apparently there was not a Kingsbrand. Oh, no? Ash is going right past Glowing Womb. Not sure where Ash is going now. Oh, okay, just
lost.
Past it a little bit. Meanwhile, we'll see this simple key, and SomeDude will finally get his Abyss Shriek as well. And he'll probably go up and fight Broken Vessel. We'll see. Oh, nope, I guess he decides it's not worth it.
So, where is SomeDude going? Doing some shopping.
Have we seen the Shopkeeper's key? Oh, he's getting Hive Blood. He may be deciding to go to Hive. As a reminder,
I think he has enough grub. Yeah,
it was, I think, 12 grubs, so he might need a few more. But that's a quick few grubs he can get. He hasn't done a lot of grub collecting, as you can see.
I don't think we've seen either of the Shio checks. What? Is he going for Path of Pain? I mean, he can do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess he has full access.
That's a static goal that he has access to.
Okay, so we will get to see the Path of Pain after all from SomeDude. If he's comfortable with this Path of Pain, then I think this is a great play. I mean, chasing after these random checks can be quite time-consuming, and with the potential time limit coming up, if he can get this done in the next, well, really 40 minutes, then he's got this match in the bag.
Yep. Getting High Blood, good strategy for this. Just be patient, refill your health between each attempt. Yeah, good call, good play.
Yeah, High Blood not as relevant in the Path of Pain itself, where you get infinite soul totems to recharge after every failed attempt, but in the White Palace leading up to it, it can be life-saving.
Alright, Ash gets her Dream Nail.
I'm also going to check Blade and find that second dash there, I believe.
But as we mentioned, Ash has never done Path of Pain before, she admitted before the race. So she might be playing for the draw at this point, but we'll see how things go.
Yeah, I feel like if you're Ash, you're behind anyway. You've got to find those random checks. You don't want to struggle on your first completion of Path of Pain while your opponent can just go and do random checks to potentially win. I think it makes sense to continue just trying to find some other items.
I don't like that check that she did there because she knows that SomeDude hit marked the Shrine of Believers goal, so there wasn't going to be anything there for her. There's a few checks in Queen's Gardens. She knows SomeDude marks the goals here. Not sure exactly where she's going. I guess she could check Love Key. There's a bunch of places that she, like we said, there's those big bosses that have not been fought by anybody.
Right.
Ancestral Mound is a place that neither runner has checked, so this is a reasonable place for her to go. All right?
Yeah. Or Overgrown Mound, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is good. If this turns out to have been either Defender's Crest or King's Brand, both runners will really regret passing this up earlier on. It is a bit of a longer check, so I understand passing it up. But especially when, you're willing to go do Hollow 1 or into the Path of Pain, it makes sense to try it, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, SomeDude here making his way. To get to the Path of Pain, you have to go through the first, essentially half of White Palace. So SomeDude is doing that here, having a little bit of trouble, but with High Blood on, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah. Just a Rancid Egg. So let's see some Watcher Knights or Mantis Lords. Where this is not the fastest way to get to Shio, but
yeah, this is also not the way to Shio, so I'm not sure, to be honest. Oh, No Eyes Dark Room. I believe we saw this from SomeDude in the dark.
Yeah.
Actually. And it was World Sense, actually, if I remember correctly. So this will be probably the longest time between somebody finding a goal on the board and the other runner finally finding it, at about 2 hours apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the World Sense. If you're Ash, you got to be thinking, wow, he really came here early. SomeDude making his way through these rooms. They don't seem to be giving them too much trouble so far. Ash, meanwhile, I believe already did both checks over here, so I'm not sure what Ash is actually looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe just forgetting?
Hard to say.
Yeah. SomeDude on what I believe is one of the hardest parts of White Palace.
100%. Really should take his time. I know he's racing, but you don't want to lose that last globe of health.
Yeah. Yeah, with High Blood on, it doesn't matter too much. I mean, you can get down to 2 HP and then just wait 10 seconds between attempts or so, and it looks like that's his strategy. I guess Ash never actually checked that Vessel Fragment.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to come back for it. These last ones you can see dash through. That's what he's doing. Yeah, he makes it through cleanly. Ooh, wow. Just scraping the saw blades on that one.
Yep.
All right, looks like he is done with the first part of White Palace. I believe he has one more side, and then he can access the Path of Pain.
So I'm sure he's going to bench here to refill his health, and then he'll move on. All right, so we're seeing Shio here from Ash. This is accessible with Claw and C-Dash and Dash, or Claw and Double Jump and Dash. So even though she just got C-Dash, this has been available to her and both runners for quite some time.
Yep, and it's two checks that are pretty quick. They don't take too long, so I do like this from Ash. We haven't seen it from either runner. The Shio check is up here, and then there's a Rancid Egg that's below Shio. Hopefully Ash remembers to go back for that. Yep, looks like we'll get it now. Unfortunately, does not pay off for Ash. Yeah, Ash really just searching for some checks, any kind of high density checks that can be done. SomeDude, meanwhile, just making his way through the White Palace. This side probably easier than the first side that he did. Having a little bit of trouble with these saw blades, though.
Ash figuring out where to head, what check she can get, what she's missed, what is still on the board.
Yeah, I'd still like to see one of those bosses, the Mantis Lords, the Watcher Knights. Looks like Ash has decided on something in Queen's Gardens. Not sure what. I hope that Ash is not going for Trader Lord. You know that SomeDude's done Trader Lord. Not sure what else is up here. Maybe coming for Love Key.
Which I guess is fair.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's nothing, because we saw SomeDude check it a long time ago.
Yeah, SomeDude did already check it, but at the same time, you don't necessarily know that. It's still one check, takes a bit of a while to get to. But,
So, I think, knowing what we do know, though, and the fact that Ash got the Queen Garden stag goal, that SomeDude probably took this path through Queen's Gardens at some point, and she should be looking somewhere else. But, when you're at this point in a race, you're like struggling to think of stuff to go do. You might just say, okay, this is a thing that I haven't checked yet. It's on my helper log or whatever. It's not a boss, and just make a decision. And so from that perspective, it's a fair choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Ash might be specifically looking for checks that aren't bosses, that haven't been done yet, and makes sense to kind of come here to this one. I would argue that that arena is as annoying as a Mantis Lords or Watcher Knights anyway, but
for sure,
it can be less intimidating. SomeDude is struggling a little bit with this room. These saw blades can give a little bit of trouble, as we are seeing. And with High Blood on, he's not at risk of dying, though, so any progress he makes will be stored. Ooh, what a save. Alright, Ash getting the Love Key check, finds that pale ore. I'd forgotten that that's where SomeDude found it, but that's a little bit heartbreaking again. SomeDude looking a little frustrated at this. Yeah, there is a skip here. You can jump up through that. It's a little bit tight. Looks like he's struggling with it a little bit. So
Ash is going to do Overgrown Mound, which we know is nothing. Or Crystallized Mound, which we know is nothing.
Right. Yeah, maybe doing some cleanup in peaks. Again, unfortunate. We have seen, I believe, a full clear of peaks from SomeDude. SomeDude giving up on that skip, just deciding to take the lower path. A little bit slower, but also significantly easier. Oh, that's a good point. I guess he was... oh, he got the skip once and then... Oh, that's rough. That's unfortunate. Yeah, and waiting for the High Blood to recover between attempts is essential. So that High Blood takes quite a while to recover. I'm not sure the exact amount of time, but it does involve just a lot of sitting around and waiting for it. All right, SomeDude making his way up there, though. Meanwhile, Ash again, just looking for some checks. Coming back to Dirtmouth. Not sure.
Wonder if she's finally gonna check grubs.
Oh, has Ash not checked grubs?
No.
Oh no. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes into this race, and Ash has decided grubs is a good thing to do.
The only thing she's gonna find here is... Oh, there was a white fragment here, too. The only thing she's gonna find here is the tram pass, though. She already has... I guess she could get to Sundean Dark, but the Abyss Shriek isn't gonna help her. Unbreakable Strength is nice, but that's not the decision that's going to win her the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could see Tram Pass to go and check Hive or something, but at this point, you have other high density checks that don't require you to grind grubs. Oh, Moloch. If Kingsbrand...
Moloch's a good choice.
Yeah, that would actually be hilarious. All right, SomeDude actually onto the Path of Pain here. He made it through the White Palace rooms that he needed. This is the first room of the Path of Pain. At this point, Hive Blood is more or less not necessary. There's infinite soul totems in almost every room. There is one place where you can technically die in the platforming, and then 2 King's Molds at the end that you need to beat that deal double damage. So that's actually probably the bigger scare if you're doing this White Palace under-geared. Speaking as somebody who has died to those King's Molds, it can be heartbreaking. SomeDude looking practiced with this Path of Pain, though.
Yeah, good movement through the first room.
It's certainly
first room being one of the hardest rooms.
Yep.
Not that I would know, just from watching other people die to it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think most would agree that the first room and the last 2 rooms are really probably the hardest. The last room probably being the hardest of them all. Yeah, so if he gets through this room, then I do believe that he'll have an easy time to the last couple of rooms. And he's got about 25 minutes to make it happen, so...
Yep.
I believe that he can do it.
So that 25 minutes also, you know, hinges on Ash finding those 2 goals.
Yep. Yeah, Ash's only hope right now is that SomeDude is unable to complete the Path of Pain in the next 25 minutes, and that Ash is able to find both the Defender's Crest and the King's Brand. Oh no. Yeah, I believe that there is 1 extra saw blade added to this. I could be wrong. In this first room of the Path of Pain. I know that caught me off guard the first time I tried it in the randomizer, but it's added to be able to do the room backwards or something like that. Hopefully that doesn't throw him off. Ash paused for a minute. Okay, we're good. I don't think that we've seen these checks, actually, the vessel fragment down here.
Yeah. It sounded like like a controller or something might have disconnected.
Okay. Well, luckily it was resolved pretty quickly.
Yep. I forget if SomeDude did this. I know he got the Shade Cloak. So he must have done this as well, which means it was likely nothing. Again, the play for Ash is probably to, you know, start going on a world tour of boss fights and hope the thing that is at one of the denser ones than at one of the one-offs.
Yeah, and meanwhile, SomeDude has passed through the first 2 rooms of the Path of Pain. Moving on to the 3rd over here, he's going to refill on Soul. This is the one part that you can get stranded without a Soul Totem, so Hive Blood will come in handy, ensuring that he will not die here. Ash cleaning up those deep nest checks. We'll see where... oh, don't do Nosk before Watchers. No, don't do Nosk. Okay, we're getting Nosk. So the mindset has shifted to bosses. The boss that Ash decides to start with is one of the longer, slower checks with Abyss Shriek, Shaman Stone, Nail 2, etc. This will not be a problem for Ash. It's just a little bit slow, and it's only a single check. SomeDude waiting on the Hive Blood. He can just walk to the right, or is this the second of the rooms? Maybe he can't just walk to the right.
So while have a little bit of downtime, I'd like to give another plug to the Hollow Knight Randomizer mod, and I mean the Hollow Knight game, of course, and the Hollow Knight Discord. If you're interested in the mod or anything that you see here, we have races pretty regularly. We're a pretty open and welcoming community. We like to see new people. Both these players have made tons of progress playing Rando over the last couple of months. And it's been really fun to watch them and, join them in races. So if you're interested in doing this type of thing, feel free to hop on by, say hello, say rando in chat, and have a good time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We have friendly races being organized all the time. All skill levels are welcome. We encourage newer players. We have some tools like the Rando Map mod, which will show you where the checks are on a map instead of in a tracker log. That can help newer players get acquainted with the Rando, and yeah, overall just a very welcoming community.
SomeDude making his way through another room here, getting very close to the end of the Path of Pain.
Yep, he's got a couple more rooms here. I believe this room and then the 3 final rooms. So he's almost done. And he's making it through these pretty cleanly. Again, Highblood was coming in clutch there, making sure that he did not die on those intermediate attempts. Now he opens this gate. So at this point, if he dies again, Highblood will not be necessary. Every single room, except the ones locked behind, or that are required to get to that lever, have infinite soul totems. So if he dies, for example, the King's Mold, he could come through here again, not have to do those rooms, and would be able to put on some damage dealing charms instead of Hive Blood, make it an easier fight. Whoa, I didn't even know you could stand there.
We're seeing Jonies from Ash. I don't think SomeDude did that, so this is a check that she can get.
Yep, both of them walked right past this one, I believe, when they full cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I guess not full cleared, but anyway, you get the
idea. At this point, it might be like Ash's only chance is to find King's Brand and then immediately find Defender's Crest in Idle or in the Basin.
Yeah, and
or in the Abyss.
Fairly likely that Defender's Crest is somewhere in the Abyss. There's 7 checks there. Okay, somebody's showing off the Soul Totem. If you're playing Path of Pain casually, that can be one that you overlook. Definitely take advantage of that. But yeah, Abyss has quite a few checks. Kingsbrand is absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, we're seeing Hollowness Crown from Ash right now. Again, pretty slow check. We saw it from SomeDude. I don't remember what it was, but it was certainly not Kingsbrand.
I believe it was an Egu.
Oh.
But I could be misremembering.
Okay, SomeDude making it through that second to last room very cleanly. He's on to the last room of the Path of Pain, not even going to heal. Kind of a dangerous decision if he makes it through on this first try. We'll see how... Oh, and that will not be an issue. Still not going to heal, though.
That's what High Blood is for.
Yeah, High Blood does the healing, so he doesn't have to.
Here's the healing. I mean, there's no cost to full healing between attempts, filling up your soul between attempts. There is a boss fight, so to speak, at the end of this, and having your soul fill for that, definitely can only help you.
Yeah, the last thing you want is to finally make it through this platforming, come up to that boss fight, and then die because you didn't refill your health and soul on the way in.
All right, so it looks like the next choice is the Hornet 2 boss fight. With her loadout, Ash should have basically no trouble.
Yeah.
Definitely a challenging fight if it's your first playthrough of the game, but with this loadout, geared to the teeth, nailed to, fully upgraded spells for the most part.
Yeah, shouldn't face too much of a challenge here. I do think Ash is making the right decision going for these bosses, but I do think you want to focus on the quicker, high-density bosses first. So it's a bit unfortunate to see bosses like Hornet 2. Could just be the bosses that Ash is most comfortable fighting, maybe more practice with those than Watcher Knights or something, but I could also believe that SomeDude may have already checked Watcher Knights and is trying to avoid those, go for kind of rarer ones, which I respect that decision as well.
That's it. At this point, it's hard for Ash to actually know that SomeDude is in the path of pain. So, the board's just been silent for a really, really long time, and you're doing the checks that you're doing.
Yep.